Talking about Windows XP, I'm talking about Windows Vista, which would be released over 5 years later. Windows Vista, codenamed Longhorn, has probably one of the most interesting development periods for any Windows operating system, and probably one of the longest. Longhorn was originally going to be released in 2003, only 2 years after Windows XP, and be a minor release of the Windows OS, rather than the major release it had in 2006. At the same time, Microsoft was also working on what they intended to be the next major version of Windows, codenamed Blackcomb. This ended up, as we all know, becoming Windows 7 in 2009. This whole plan Microsoft had can be seen by a very clever naming scheme, as in British Columbia, Canada, there's actually two large mountains, one named Whistler, which was Windows XP's codename, and the other named Blackcomb. And Longhorn, which is again Windows Vista's codename, is a bar and grill that is set up in between Whistler Mountain and Blackcomb Mountain. So to get from Whistler Mountain, you'd have to pass through the Longhorn Bar and Grill, and then you'd be at the Blackcomb Mountain. And Microsoft had this same plan for Windows, because Longhorn would be a release in between Whistler and Blackcomb, and to get from Whistler to Blackcomb, you'd have to pass through Windows Vista or Longhorn. Seems like a good plan, right? Well, it didn't really turn out the way Microsoft wanted it to. Sometime around 2004, developers of Longhorn were getting overwhelmed with the amount of features that Longhorn had, and were confused about what they were supposed to be adding to Longhorn and what they should be saving for Blackcomb. Remember that Longhorn was not supposed to have any major groundbreaking changes, as all of these would be saved for Blackcomb. But the issue is that the developers of Longhorn weren't really sure what qualified as a groundbreaking feature, and just ended up adding all of the features they had into Windows Longhorn, which is not what Microsoft wanted. And they actually decided to reset Longhorn development in 2004 and start with a clean slate because of this. And this means that the final version of Windows Vista only had a development period of about 2 years. Because of the reset, the development builds of Longhorn that came before 2004 are very interesting to take a look at today, as they give us a good idea of what Microsoft actually wanted Longhorn to be. And that's what today's video is going to be about. I'm going to be taking you through 5 pre-reset Longhorn builds and give you a glimpse of what Windows Vista could have been like. So we're going to start things out. We're going to jump right in with Longhorn build 3683. Now I've already gone through the installation process and all of that, as that can be, fairly boring. And right off the bat here, you'll see that it looks very much like Windows XP Pro, as it actually has the Windows XP login screen. The only difference here is that the copyright date is changed to 2003. If this was Windows XP, it would say 1985 to 2001, and that's really your only indication on the actual boot screen that this is a Longhorn build. Now this is obviously a very large change. The entire XP welcome screen has been changed, and if you notice the time up there, it's gone now obviously, but the time up there is now like there's a smaller clock up in the top right corner of the login screen, which is very nice. Windows XP didn't have that, and something that I think is really nice, and Windows Vista didn't even have that, so something that I guess they decided to get rid of. So this build right here is the first Longhorn build to ever be leaked online. It's not the first build ever developed. There's like 2 builds before this that we know of that we don't really know that much about. This one is, we can actually get working in a actual VM and take a look at it, as Microsoft would be taking a look at it back in 2003. This build does have a date of around 2003, as you can tell by the 2003 copyright date, and it is a milestone 3 build. That's what this M3 build means, and a sort of what a
destroyed an enemy cruiser. sir. All stations, reporting strategic target. The ship is on fire. Detected.
We've sunk an enemy destroyer.
Torpedoes, direct front.
Hello, and welcome to this fun little series we're doing where we work with all of you to show all of the things that Microsoft Copilot can do. I'm Donna Sarkar. I work here at Microsoft helping customers all over the world use Microsoft's AI products, which are called Copilots, in their own business to do their jobs better, live their lives better, et cetera, all the good stuff. And my wonderful friend joining me from Germany is...
Hi, I'm Sandra Agam. I'm a Java developer and I use Copilot now every day and I can't wait to show you how I use it.
I'm excited for those cases. Right, so do it with us. Go to copilot.microsoft.com. We'll wait, go ahead. Trust us, you're gonna wanna follow along because you'll learn things the way we learn things while doing this. So once you're there, if you're a Microsoft Enterprise customer, go ahead.
Milestone is, okay, and there's the like delayed XP logon sound. Microsoft basically, I don't know how to sort of explain this, but Microsoft goes through different phases in the Windows development life cycle, and they have basically alpha, beta, and then I think it goes into milestone 1. Then they go into milestone 2 and milestone 3, and so this is a milestone 3 build. So a lot of pre-development was done before this build, and you'll notice that it closely resembles Windows XP. We have the Windows XP style pop-ups down here. The whole theme here has kind of changed. You know, it doesn't look exactly like XP, but it is very similar. The whole start menu has the same XP layout, but it is in this nice blue color, and you can't really see the subtexts of like where it says Internet Explorer and Outlook Express right here. You can't really see those without hovering over them, and I'm guessing that's a bug that they fixed by, you know, changing the actual color of this in a later build. Also of note is the very large All Programs menu here, and you go in here and you have all your same XP programs and everything like that. Running WinVer, this is going to, now you'll notice centered title text, something that Windows 8, like one of the big features, or maybe not really the big features, but one of the things that Windows 8 had was centered title text, and you can see that its roots are all the way back in here, 2003 in Windows Longhorn. You see it on the run command dialog box here as well. We still have the Windows XP Pro graphic. You see that they haven't changed this at all because it still says 2001. The only indication here is that it says evaluation copy, and it says 3683 Lab 06, and that is basically your sign that this is a lab, or well, yeah, a lab build, but an evaluation build. And we have this nice OK button right here. We have the Longhorn XP Pro thing down here. Again, these are on all beta builds. Also to mention is the nice wallpaper. Not really looking so nice at 1080p, but again, this wasn't really made for 1080p. So this new theme right here is called Plex. That is what Microsoft officially called it. And you can actually still change this to the classic XP themes, and you can see how how kind of different this is. Also of note is this new display properties panel. Now, essentially what this is using a new engine, I believe, called Avalon, and this was a new interface sort of thing that Microsoft was basically working on at the time, and it eventually merged into what we know now as the Windows Presentation Foundation. I'm not sure if that's still used today, but this is the only thing that is, like, you know, significantly changed, like besides like the whole theme thing. This is one of the major changes, and it doesn't really work completely but you can kind of see in here what they were going for. So we can change your desktop background. You can see what I mean. It doesn't really work because we got some errors and stuff. We'll say we wanted this color. We'll use this background, and there you go. You just change your background to some purple color. Theme doesn't work. Scale and resolution doesn't really work. Nothing really works in here, but we can kind of get a glimpse of how, like what they were going for when they were sort of working on this. And this probably wouldn't really be the final, like if this were to go through, this probably wouldn't be the final design, but it could be very similar to it. And we can of course go to the classic XP panel and change our stuff that, or change our settings that way. And you can see that our theme is the Plex style. We could, if we wanted to, go back to the XP style, but we don't have, but we're not going to do that. And you'll notice how on the XP style, everything is centered to the left. On the Plex theme, it's in the center. So that's something that they definitely were going for while they were making Longhorn. Something also sort of different in here is the Windows Explorer interface. This is sort of got a new design, sort of the task stuff on the left here. Everything on the right kind of stayed the same. However, we do have this new indicator saying how much free space that your drives had. I don't believe we had this in XP. And we can go in, and I don't, we'll show the contents. And what this thing up here is, this like blank space is actually a preview space. So if I were to, click on a folder, if it lets me click on a folder, you'll see that it will say like more information about this folder without me having to actually go right click in properties. So one bug is it says everything that's a folder is 0 kilobytes, which I'm guessing is a bug that I don't really think they fixed for a few builds later on. We also have these arrows up here that you can kind of move around files, if you didn't want to use the arrow keys or just like click on them, I guess, if you wanted to use arrows. One of my favorite things with looking at these builds is how that Microsoft was working with these themes and everything. It's cool to see how that they wanted Longhorn to look, but of course it never really came to that. Now I'm looking at the Wikipedia article for this, and it's saying that a sidebar is present. However, I'm not really seeing that on the side here. I'm guessing that might be something that you have to hack in manually. Also in the Windows control panel, this is not how it normally looks. I was messing around with some settings in here earlier. This is how that it normally looks. Windows XP had this option as well, but it just kind of has a new sort of fresh design with this line kind of randomly placed up here. Most of these still relate to Windows XP. However, this My Hardware option right here, this is new, and this menu basically tells you what hardware that you have. However, it does have the old XP icons. This one, as you notice, it's kind of a new icon, but it still kind of resembles XP as well. And that is basically a brief look at build 3683. So I'm going to shut this down, and we'll move on to our next build. So I'll just show you what the again, we have the clock up here. If you didn't notice last time, this is what that it looks like. Very nice, and I really think that should be in or it should have been in Windows XP. Obviously, we have that now in Windows 8 and Windows 10 on the lock screen. But this would have been nice to have like on your sort of login screen where it would list all of your users, because obviously that's what would be here. You can see what time it is without having to log in. So that was build 3683. So next on the list is a Longhorn build 4008. And this build also has a build date of around 2003. And this was the first build that we know of that, you can see here it has the same XP, boot screen. But this was the first build that we know of that has a Windows pre-installation environment, sort of graphically UI-based installer. That was a lot of words to say with that word. But basically, if you remember back in Windows XP, in every version of Windows NT before XP, you kind of have, when you're the sort of pre-setup phase, when you first put in your CD to boot from it, you get this sort of like blue looking screen that's all, you can only control it using your keyboard. It looks kind of like this. I'll have an image on the screen. And after like all the files are, you know, copied over to the hard drive, then it boots into a graphically based installer. Well, what this was is essentially from the instant that you put in that install CD, it's all mouse and keyboard based. Like you can use the mouse, and it would be a lot easier to set up for the novice user that doesn't want to navigate through a bunch of menus using their arrow keys and stuff. And that obviously came with Windows Vista. And we saw that first in Windows Vista, and we're very accustomed to it today. Every Windows version since then has had that. And this was the first build to have all of that. And it looks kind of like this. This is how the whole setup process looks. There we have that Windows XP startup sound again. Something that I should mention, there is a lot of people online saying that Longhorn builds have like their own special boot up sounds and stuff, and that's not really the case. I believe that every single build of Longhorn uses XP startup and shutdown sounds, but there's people that think that there's sort of, I guess, fan-made sounds that sound a little bit different, and they are nice sounds, to be honest, but they weren't actually officially used, so at least not that I'm aware of. But here we are in build 4008 or 4008. You can see that right off the bat we have a new wallpaper that kind of blends in with the Plex theme a little bit better. We have it's saying that it's an M4 build right here with a nice little Longhorn, I guess, icon there. It's still calling itself Longhorn XP Professional, and here is the sidebar that they were talking about that was supposed to be in the last build, I guess, but not really. Like, I didn't really ever see that. But this is obviously, if you remember, Windows Vista has the Windows sidebar. This is the like precursor to that. It's still a sidebar, but it's not like, you know, completely transparent like the Windows Vista version is, and it's obviously like it takes up part of your view. And we can actually move this bar around, I think, so we can actually make it larger if we want to. So we can make it this large if you want to take up like almost half your screen. We can lock it there. We can minimize it so that it goes away, and then it's kind of like puts this like I guess little layer. Or no, that's just the taskbar. No, it puts this little thing right here, and when you click that, it'll come out again. We have settings here, which brings up the old taskbar and start menu properties. You see we still have the older XP images in here. However, we do have a new enable the side. Actually, this is probably where that it was. This was probably unchecked in the other build, so that's probably where it was. And we still have, again, all of the XP, you know, images and stuff. Quick launch settings, as you can tell, have been moved up here. Let me just actually move this back, so because I didn't actually want it that large. Yeah, this is the quick launch. Like, it used to be down here, and it eventually was down here in the final Windows Vista build, but they moved it up here. And what this is, like, the idea here is you can have widgets here, and you can kind of move them around and kind of rearrange them however you like. So I can kind of show you, there's a few tiles in here. So we have a user tile, which just shows the name of the person logged on. Not really that helpful, I don't think. Yeah, it doesn't really do that much. It just shows the name of the person logged on. We have a slideshow, which just is a slideshow, probably from the My Pictures folder. Windows Vista did end up having something like this. We have search, which doesn't seem to be working. We have tray icons. So this is basically all of the icons that are down here. They're calling them a legacy notification. So these are like basically your taskbar notifications that would be down here that, like, you know, pop up and tell you things. They would now pop up, I guess, up here, and then you wouldn't have to use the taskbar for anything else. I believe there's a clock can use that, and we get a nice Longhorn clock. Yeah, I have most frequent apps, and this is pulling everything from the start menu. So, and then obviously what you can do is you can say, well, I want, let's say I want the clock all the way on the bottom. So you can pull this and just bring it down here, and there's your clock. And do the same with, let's say I want the slideshow up here, I want the user thing up here, I want all my programs to be right here. So let's say that you want to launch Internet Explorer browser. You just click there one time. They actually did not center the title bar. This was centered on the last build. I didn't show that, but the notes that I'm looking at here, it is aligned to the left now. So kind of going back to the way it was in Windows XP. And I'm guessing that's the, actually no, that's the way that all the apps are. Actually, they aligned everything back to the left. Winver, you'll see that it is actually calling itself Longhorn Professional. 2006, there is a new copyright date. I don't think this build is from 2006, but they're just copyrighting it to 2006. Actually, I know it's not from 2006 because it expires in 2004 or so, and the copyright is 2003. I actually don't know why it says 2006, to be honest. I guess they were... I actually have no idea. But yeah, all of the text has been centered to the left now, and apparently they're saying that properties of files and folders are now going to be displayed in Internet Explorer window. So I'll open up, here we have the new Windows Explorer. So again, it kind of looks similar to what we had before, however this whole thing up here has been changed around. We have this nice little thing to kind of, like when you go over folders, it'll say Windows My Documents. This is some placeholder text. You have some nice images here when you go over My Music and My Pictures and Video. See, so there's only, and this is actually, I should point this out, this is actually called Libraries. Now you'll know Windows 7 has the same thing that's called Libraries. Well, from what I heard, this feature didn't really work out the way they wanted it to in Longhorn, so they just kind of scrapped the whole thing. And again, the text is centered up here. I have no idea. Okay, so it's centered when it's full screen. Okay, so only when things are like, or not, sorry, not full screen maximized. So yeah, kind of a precursor feature to 2009 Windows 7. That's when this would come back. They actually took out the indication bar showing how full that your hard drives are. Obviously all your folders are still here. So it says, yeah, so when you go to a folder and you click on properties, if you just saw, it opens up an Internet Explorer. And so it's kind of an HTML based thing. It's very weird looking because, yeah, so this is the older, I guess, non-Internet Explorer based window that is still used today. But this is, I guess, them trying to move away from that, move to an HTML based thing. What obviously it's not really finished because we only have one thing which you can, and we have an error, common language runtime debugging service. We'll click cancel to debug the application. We'll click cancel to abort. Alright, Internet Explorer had to close and we may need to restart the VM, as you just saw. So yeah, that's how unstable that these builds are. So if you actually wanted to test these out, as I always say, do not do it on your real computer. So yeah, that is sort of the new features of this build. Again, I'm not going to go completely in depth. There's a lot of features that we could be taking a look at, like, you know, smaller things, but I'm not going to be doing that because this this whole recording is already like 40 minutes long. I don't want to have to split this up into parts. But a few other things that are changed in this build. There is a new search interface, kind of you know, streamlines the whole thing. I'm not sure if it actually works. We can search the local hard drive for A, and we'll go and it'll find sample music and sample pictures. So I don't really think it works correctly, but it is a nice design. This would be able to search Windows help topics and things like that, so that you can, like, it'll search more things basically. And just to kind of show you Windows Explorer again, because this is kind of the I guess one of the major features besides the whole Windows sidebar. you know, how they have kind of, I guess, you know, designed this. Most of the functionality doesn't really work yet because we're supposed to be able, like, see, this is details of documents and settings. It has that kind of same Internet Explorer interface, but you're supposed to be, when you click on, or you know, click one time on a folder, it's going to supposed to show you information up here like it did in the last build. It does not do that for folders. It does that for files. And then when I click on a folder, you'll see that the title of the previous file that I clicked on gets kind of stuck up here. So, however, with the document, you know, like the whole libraries, that's not the case. But with everything else, I guess these were like specially made. And you'll notice they actually have some pictures in here, I think. Maybe. Yeah, they do. They have some pictures. Oh no, never mind. They're just just the same sample pictures. So yeah, I think that is going to about wrap it up for this build. This is 4008. Next is 4000 or 4015. Yeah, I guess you'd say 4015. So we'll close out of this. We'll turn it off. You see, we still have the same Windows XP options to shut down your computer and everything. That will change soon in some of the later builds that we look at. Alright, so we are now going to be taking a look at Longhorn build of 4015 or 4015. This build contains a few new features. I did have a little bit of an issue while setting it up. As you saw by that error there, we do have a brand new boot screen. It's now actually calling itself Microsoft Longhorn. Obviously, we have a whole new, a newly designed welcome screen. Still with the XP sounds though, as you just heard. And yeah, so we have a brand new, or not really a new wallpaper, just the text has changed. It says a Longhorn Milestone 5. We now have Longhorn, like the XP notifications have changed. So this is what a Longhorn notification in this build looks like. This previously would look like those Windows XP beige pop-up messages down in the bottom taskbar. The theme has changed slightly. When you hover over buttons, as you see here, it kind of does this nice little effect to it. So when I like hover my mouse cursor over it and then move it away, it'll slowly fade out. So it's very nice. The start button down here has changed. The Windows logo is now a little larger. The menu still looks like a Windows XP, sort of. And the clock over here has changed. The hour is now a little larger. When we hover over it, we get the date in large text. The sidebar, the search thing actually works now. So if we want to search for, say, Google, or I should say search for A again, we press enter, it'll bring up a search results menu, and now it actually works. So it brings up everything relating to A on the computer. So yeah, I think pretty much all of this is the same up here. You know, moving everything around is pretty much the same. When you minimize it, you actually get this, or no, that's always there, I guess. Actually, no, it's not. A little arrow thing, and when you click it, you can get at some of the icons that were on the sidebar. So, for example, the clock, and you can click there, and you get the full-size clock. And Explorer just crashed, so that's great. Oh gosh! All right, it's just gonna reboot now. When you click on legacy notifications, it brings up those legacy notifications. Again, there's the clock again, slideshow, quick launch, and search. So, and if you don't want it down there, you can obviously bring up the sidebar, and there you go. It can make it really large and make the picture like almost full size. It's saying that there's a way to drag the sidebar underneath the start menu. However, I'm not really seeing that working. So let's just open up Windows Explorer here. There is a new game library. I think that is new. Nothing looks to be in here apparently, or it's just frozen again. For some reason, it's all the way over here. We'll just close. I guess it's just frozen. So yeah, here is what my computer now looks like. I don't really know why that there's this huge gap between where like the actual listings are in the taskbar, but you can see that they have some of the functionality in here working. Now before we had the document library, the music library, and the picture and video library, and we had like those little images when you clicked here. We don't have that anymore. However, we do have a new My Contacts, and it's a system folder. Nice little image up here. It might be the same in documents. Okay, no, but if we go into music, it'll... Okay, so we have, as you can see, music notes up here. Picture and video, same thing, kind of has to show you that you're in the picture library. We have a new interface to show... Okay, so it finally loaded this folder. So this is what the game library folder looks like, where we have all of our Windows XP games. I think they're still the XP games. Yeah, they look exactly the same. And we have some tasks here. We can uninstall the game, I guess, but you can see when we like kind of hover over them, you can see we get like more in-depth. We get a nicer view of the icon up here, which looks very nice, and we can get some options over here. So that's the game library. That is new as well. We also, as I was saying before that happened, we have a new like way, I guess, to show you how full that your hard drive is and how much free space that you have left without having to go in and go to properties. You see that the whole thing where the properties was in Internet Explorer, that's now gone. It's gone back to the old classic properties menu. And this, if you have noticed in the past few builds, this is green now. These things up here. So yeah, that's been there for a while. I just haven't mentioned it yet. So yeah, that is Internet Explorer, or not Internet Explorer. Sorry, Windows Explorer. You see that we kind of have the same thing where the text is centered to the left when a window is not maximized, and when it is, it's centered in the middle. We will run WinVer. You see we still have Longhorn Professional. It is now identifying as version 6.0, 4015. This build actually did not let me choose my username or anything like that. It just defaults to Windows user, and it uses the administrator account. So that's something about some of these builds. When you're going through the setup process, it'll just auto go through, I guess, to get testers that Microsoft was like, you know, working with kind of the fastest way. The setup is pretty much all automated. You just set what disk that you want it to install on, and it'll just do the rest for you. And I'm guessing that's because that they wanted to get this out to their testers, obviously, like you know, OEM partners, and you know, people like that. The copyright date is still to 2003, so we are still in 2003, obviously. So let's open up the control panel here. You'll see that we have a new option called parental controls, and I believe this may have been in the last build. I haven't really been going over everything, as I've said. I'm just kind of pointing out things. I kind of have a few different web pages open and some stuff that I've written down. So I may miss a few things. Parental controls may have been... Actually, it may have been... Let me just double check. I think it... Actually, yes. This build, or this feature was in the previous build, which was build 4008. So I forgot to look at that. But this is how it looks now. Again, pretty, standard. Windows Vista did end up having this feature, so this is a feature that they kept. And it basically lets you set you would create a limited account. In Windows Vista, I believe they're called standard accounts, and you would basically put limits on it through this program. So yeah, that's basically parental controls. Again, that was in build 40,000 or 4008. I just forgot to mention that. So yeah, that is basically build 4015. Again, most of the major features. We're going to shut this down. We still have the XP log off menu thing here. This has not changed. So we're going to click on shutdown. Still have the XP shutdown sound with the nice Windows Longhorn shutdown screen. So yeah, that is one of the things that they have changed in this build. And moving on to our second to last build, I'll just get everything up as I wait for this to I just almost said boot down, but no, we're not booting down, we're shutting down. Our next build is going to be 4051, and this build was actually released at the Microsoft PDC conference in 2003. It was, well, not really released, but kind of sent out to a few Microsoft developers. However, it did leak around that same time. And this changed a lot of things. This is a major change from what we've been seeing so far. So we're going to take a look at that, and I'll show you what I mean. So we're going to let it boot up here. You'll see we have a sort of Windows XP-esque boot screen. At least it looks more than it did before. It says Microsoft Windows codename Longhorn, and this bar is orange instead of blue like it was before. And you also notice that the Windows logo is multicolored again, so they've gone back to that. And all of the copyright information is gone, so it's very minimal. So here we are. You see we have that nice sort of fly down animation, and it kind of gives you some more back-end information as it's booting up. There's no welcome screen, just automatically takes you to the first user account. But you'll see that, what does this look like to you? It looks kind of more like Windows XP. This, like, my first kind of impression of this was like, what happens? Like, this looks kind of like something before that last build, at 4015, but this is 4051. And it is very slow. It takes a while to actually, like, I'm probably gonna have to edit a lot of this out because it's a lot of waiting. But yeah, this is called the Slate theme. This is a new theme that Microsoft was experimenting with. So you'll see that it looks kind of like Windows XP. We'll close out of that. You see, we do kind of have that whole thing from the last build. Okay, a lot of things are like kind of popping up at once. Sorry, but this down here is a newer Longhorn pop-up notification. It looks a little bit different than it did before. What I was saying here is these buttons do have that same hover animation, kind of, as you see when I hover over it and move away. That does that same kind of thing. The sidebar obviously has changed. We now have a new style clock, and we do have not as many options here. We have this classic tray option, which brings this up. That's the classic tray down there. We have slideshow, okay, and sync. So that's everything in the sidebar. So kind of more skimmed down than it was before. Now this actually kind of looks like Windows. I think Windows, Windows Vista had this, where you would click on the clock, or maybe it was Windows 7. You would click on the clock in the bottom right, and it would bring up like a large or an enlarged version of the clock, as well as a calendar. It also has this like kind of nice little bouncing animation to kind of, I guess, get your attention, like, while you're doing things. Right there. There it is again. So over here, I was going to show you how similar that the start menu looks to XP. You'll see it looks very similar, almost exactly the same at first glance. And the reason I say at first glance is there's a lot of under the hood changes when you kind of go in to the start menu a little bit longer. Email, I think this actually, or no, never mind, this is still Outlook Express. But Outlook Express, Outlook Express kind of got a new sort of design change. As you can see, I just noticed this new icon here, which kind of brought me to open the application. And this is Outlook Express 7. Outlook Express 6 was the version that was in XP. It does have a 2003 copyright date. This build also changed the pre-installation environment graphical UI. It looks a little bit different now, kind of more like the slate theme, as you can see here. And again, I'll put some images on screen so you can look at that. Also, this is the first 64-bit version of Longhorn that was ever made. So one thing of note here is that the word my has been taken off of all of your, well, except for some reason there's documents in my documents. And in Windows Vista, the final build of Windows Vista, and I'm probably going to be referencing that a lot, like it wasn't called my computer or my documents, it was just called you know, photos, music, computer, documents. But yeah, for some reason we still have my documents and documents, which there's actually two separate folders. There's my documents and there's documents, which my documents contains my pictures and my music, while documents doesn't contain anything, and pictures is its own folder, I think. Maybe it's not. Well, music is its own folder. So yeah, that's kind of a sort of minor change. Yeah, pretty much the whole thing in here looks pretty much the same, except for the fact that the whole kind of color scheme has changed to the way that it was before. You know, obviously it was like more blue before. It also added Windows Media Player 9, and so we're going to take a look at that really quickly here. We'll go to Windows Media Player. Windows XP had Windows Media Player 9, but it wasn't, because they are referencing this as a change, so I don't really know, like maybe they changed the look of it, or maybe XP didn't originally ship with Windows Media Player 9. But yeah, so it's kind of buggy, as you can see here, not really working completely, but it is there. Alright, so that is about it for Longhorn build 4051. We're going to be shutting this down now, and we're going to be taking a look at the last build. Just of note here, you'll see that they kind of have redesigned the shutdown dialog. So we'll turn that off. Now this next build that we're going to be taking a look at is build 4093. And this build came right before the development reset, where Microsoft basically scrapped everything that they've been working on and reset and started from a new code base based on Windows Server 2003 actually, and basically redesigned Windows Longhorn, you know, from there, and kind of took the 2 years, because I was in 2004, and in 2006 Windows Vista came out. So what they basically did with this build is, I guess that the people making Windows Longhorn knew that this dev reset was, you know, going to happen. So they basically took everything that they had and they threw it into this build. So it's really, really buggy, but it's got basically all the features. So this build is kind of a glimpse of what Windows Longhorn could have been if this development reset didn't happen. And again, the reason why that it happened, I'll just go over here and turn this VM on while I'm talking about it. The reason why this whole reset happened is because that Microsoft was kind of putting in too many features into Windows Longhorn, because again, remember that Longhorn was supposed to be a minor release of Windows, while all these major features were going to be saved for Windows Blackcomb. And basically everyone was kind of losing track of what was going to be in Longhorn and what was going to be in Blackcomb. So they just threw everything into Longhorn because that's what they were working on at the time. So a lot of these sort of, I guess, Blackcomb's like only features were being put into Longhorn, and Microsoft didn't really like that. And they weren't really going to have anything for Blackcomb, I guess, so they just threw it out and restarted. So this build, as you saw,
Când constipația apare ocazional, Optifibre te poate ajuta. Se dizolvă în orice preparat și ajută la reglarea tranzitului intestinal fără efecte adverse. Optifibre, acum într-un nou ambalaj.
Dragi pisici, încercați gama variată de rețete delicioase de la Gourmet.
The whole startup process pretty much the same as the previous build. We do have a new wallpaper, and so it's this like nice looking tree, I guess. Again, most of these wallpapers don't look the greatest at 1080p because they weren't really designed to be on a 1080p monitor. So sometimes, since this build is so buggy, you actually have to manually execute Windows Explorer, and I can actually show you what the Control-Alt-Delete screen looks like. So when I send that to the VM, this is what that looks like. You see we get that nice little animation. This could have been in previous Longhorn builds. I just haven't looked at it. And we get pretty much the same options that would have been in Windows Vista. So we'll just click on Start Task Manager, and we have to run Explorer. Okay, so I like how everything somehow breaks on video, but I wanted to show you... Okay, so this is new. There's a Longhorn tab in here. But I wanted to show you that the icons look like Windows Vista icons, but for some reason I can't because they're just not working. Well, I guess some of them are. You can see that this icon, these icons in here look more like the Windows Vista icons, but all these icons over here and the icon for the recycle bin look exactly like the Windows Vista icons, like the final ones that shipped with Windows Vista. So now there are a few new options in the control panel. We do have some new... There's this new thing, which I don't know what it is. I guess it's just a placeholder for something. There is text-to-speech. Now, Windows Vista had or has speech recognition, and basically, it, you know, will take your voice and whatever you're saying, translate into text. This kind of has the same thing, but we're not really going to be able to take a look at it because we need audio drivers, and I don't think we have audio drivers for my microphone for this, and I couldn't get VMware Tools. VMware Tools has a hard time installing. There's also a new Windows Movie Maker program. Now you'll notice that there are no programs installed on the actual computer, and this is because from what I kind of read about is Microsoft was kind of planning to have separate versions of what would become Windows Vista, and they actually did this. Obviously, they had, like, you know, Home Basic, Home Premium, Business, Ultimate, Enterprise, all that, and they were going to have it like so they could create these versions and only have like certain applications installed on those versions, I guess. And this version was, I guess, a really minimal one, or kind of the base with no applications installed, and that's kind of why there's no applications on here. Here is the Windows Explorer, just to give you a brief look at this. For some reason, the CD drive now identifies as a local disk. So this is the CD drive. This is my VMware audio stuff. Don't know why it's like identifying as a separate drive, like it's a hard drive. And then we have this random volume over here where when I click on it, actually this is the floppy drive, because when I double click on this it asks you to put a disk in a drive A. So that's a bug, as you can tell, because the drives are like the optical drives and the floppy drives are identifying as hard drives. All of this is pretty much the same. I know that I'm kind of going fast because I kind of want to keep this video under a certain length of time. We have the system folder, which is the mail icon for some reason, and brings up a random string of text and says cannot find server. So I don't know what was going on there. All items brings, so these are new folder icons, which don't have anything in them. So yeah, documents, this stuff kind of changed. Documents, music, photos, and videos. So they kind of tried to consolidate photos and videos throughout this whole thing. That didn't happen in the final version of Vista. Here we actually have this new thing where you can actually like choose the views of your files, because this is the photos folder. So they made it easy to change like the view. So like say you want, okay, this is the large view, this is the tile view, this is the sort of like gallery view, and this is the list view. Now there's no files in here, so I can't really show you what it looks like, but that's kind of what that was. They were experimenting with that. Contacts, a new contacts user interface. Documents, again, we have that. Music, same little banner right there. You can actually still, even though there's like not anything in these, like in the accessories folder, you can actually still execute most applications, like CMD, for example, still works. And we'll do WinVer. You see we have a new, I don't think that I did this in the last build, but you see we have a new banner up here, 4093 6.0, 2005. This is a 2004 build. Obviously it is because the reset took place in 2004. We can still run like Notepad, like all this stuff is still here. Notepad actually got a new icon, as you can see, but it's still, you know, the same Notepad. So there's also a few new versions of certain applications. Now I mentioned that there was a new version of Windows Movie Maker, and there's actually I have to run this command here to access it. I should mention that I did not get sound working in this build, as I got it working on all previous builds. The sound driver did not want to install for whatever reason. So we're gonna have to, now it says that these errors come out, but it is normal, or it's not really normal, but the application is still usable. So just go through there, and wow, here we go. I've actually not taken a look at this before, but this is the new, we can't actually move the window around. It's kind of stuck in this fixed position. But here is Movie Maker 3.0, and yeah, you see we can barely do anything. But yeah, here's the very minimal about menu. Movie Maker 3.0 build 0000 2000 to 2003. This looks very different than the Windows Vista Movie Maker. Basically, the Windows Vista Movie Maker was like very similar to the XP Movie Maker. It was just like it had the ability to render video in HD, and that was about it. That was about like the only difference, and sort of the like design change. But this is very different. This is kind of like a whole different sort of editor. You see some of this stuff is not working, like trim is not implemented, but you can see some of this stuff actually works, or doesn't work, it just quits. So yeah, we can kind of take a look at what this interface looks like, but actually like the functionality isn't really going to work that well. You see we have some tests, and it's still using the MSWMM file, so, or the file extension, so that's still there. And that was used up until Windows Live Movie Maker. I think it changed to MSWLMM. I'm not sure on that, but I think that they changed the file extension on that. But yeah, I don't think we can actually do anything because it just crashes the program. But again, we can take a look at the design of it and what it would look like. So yeah, that is a Movie Maker 3. And I did not, there's a test publish wizard. Okay, here's some like options for, I guess, rendering video. We have some bitrate options. Let's hit OK, and it crashes. There's just test menu, play timeline with media UX, publish timeline. Yeah, everything just like basically crashes it. But that is Windows Movie Maker 3.0. The next thing, there is actually a new version of Windows Media Player. It's called MX Player.
Last night, a Jedi was murdered.
She was my student.
Let me bring her in.
This is only a small part of a larger plan.
What are you?
The Acolyte. Disponibil acum.
10.000 de pași pe zi, 2 litri de apă, 8 ore de somn. Sănătatea poate fi despre numere esențiale. Și pentru pielea ta, Mineral 89 Gel Booster zilnic. Îmbogățit cu 89% apă vulcanică Vichy. Bogat în milioane de molecule de minerale și cu acid hialuronic. Un gel booster, 89 de rezultate. Trebuie să-ți amintești doar 3. Efect de reumplere, hidratare, fortifiere. Gestul esențial, iubit de 89.000 de oameni. Mineral 89 Gel Booster zilnic. De la Vichy. Sănătatea este vitală. Începe cu pielea ta.
I don't know why they changed the name. It still is called Windows Media Player, and it looks very simple. It's just a simple looking media player. UI plugins down here, I don't think any of this works. Okay, playlist works, but doesn't do anything. And okay, so we can have up to 3 solid colors, not just one. You can have up to 3 solid colors on your media player, so that's nice. Playlist, yeah, that's what that does. And UI plugins, it doesn't do anything. And it crashes the application when you click that button. So And another thing, another application that's back, if you remember, we took a look at that display setting in build 3683, I believe, where it was the like nice Avalon UI. It was all changed and everything. They took that out in the next build, like immediately in the next milestone 4 build. That was gone, and well, it's back in this build, and again, that was just them throwing everything back. So this is C Windows System 32. All right, I didn't mean to press enter, but that's okay. And it's LH desk. I'm saying Longhorn desk, and this is it. It's not actually mapped to when you right click and go to properties. This still brings up the older XP menu, but this is here, and it's actually changed. Like the design of it has changed. It's really odd text on the side here. We can adjust the screen refresh rate, and it brings up this little thing here, and we're at 1 Hertz. That's some great refresh rate going on. 1 Hertz. It's glorious. We'll go back. We can change the background and AI. So when we change the background, it brings up the classic thing. Scaling factor. I don't know why this keeps getting brought up. I guess it's just to show you what you're doing, I guess, or like you're in options. We can change the resolution. We got this button over here that's no idea what it says. We're going to click it. And it changes the resolution, and then it crashes. So let me just change that back really quickly here. Yes, it did actually change the resolution, so that's nice. We'll run that again. We can change the screensaver. It brings up this. There's actually only 3 screensavers. There's a blank, Longhorn, and photo and video screensaver. Themes and appearances brings up the themes and appearances. Change the number of colors used on your display. Brings this up. We can go 32 and 16-bit. Presentation settings. This is for looks like dual monitors. And this looks like for if you were giving a talk or a sort of presentation of some kind, you could turn off all notifications, keep the screen or keep the screen on during my presentations, so like it wouldn't turn off. And advanced display setting is not implemented yet. So yeah, that is the updated Avalon display settings. There's also a new Avalon power settings option. I'm guessing this would be for laptops. We can probably still access it. It's in the same folder. It is power CPL. Yeah, so this looks like it's for laptops. Actually looks very, very similar to the power options in Windows Vista. You can check battery power. It crashes. The Windows Vista one obviously doesn't do that. You can change your power plan. Also makes it crash. That was something that was in Vista. Change what happens when I press the power or sleep button. When I press the power button, shut down system Windows controls, combo box items standby, recommended. Shut down, ask me what to do, or nothing. So you can change like what the power button does, like the physical power button on your actual like physical computer. That obviously was in Vista. And adjust the screen brightness. Doesn't do anything whatsoever. And we have advanced power options. We'll show the power meter. Nothing. So yeah, I'm guessing all these features don't really work completely. And the last Avalon thing, I know that I'm kind of going on and on here, but I do kind of want to show you all these Avalon programs. There is a wireless presentation, and this kind of goes into what it was saying about keeping the screen on during your presentation in the not in the Power CPL, but in the app that we took a look at before that. This is WPW Wizard, and this is wireless presentation. What this actually allows you to do is connect with up to 20 other people through a wireless connection, and you can have a wireless presentation. So you can it doesn't actually work, but you see that they do have the option kind of laid out here. This actually, well, obviously this never made it into Vista, but this is one of those cool features that would have been in Longhorn if it was actually like there, like you know, if they didn't decide to cut off development. So that is the wireless presentation. Not really much to say about that. Alright, so Windows Explorer just crashed, and I think that is going to pretty much be the end of this build. Naturally, everything has to end when, you know, it crashes. Yeah, that is going to end it off for this video. This video is about 2 hours long, so I have a lot of editing to do. I'm going to try to make it watchable. I don't really want to cut this up into 2 parts because I want to have the second part to be for the, you know, post-reset builds. But if you guys like this video and if you want to see that second video, definitely be sure to like and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this in the future. Again, this was something that I kind of got the idea for, you know, a couple days ago, and I just figured why not, you know, make a video on this, because it seems like something that, you know, it was definitely fun to make, and it just seems like something that you guys would like, because, you know, you always want me to make Windows Beta build tutorials. And this is something a little bit different, but it's still taking a look at some interesting Longhorn builds. So, yeah, definitely give me your feedback down below. Like this video if you enjoyed, and subscribe for more videos in the future. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video. Hello everybody, and welcome back to another video. Now in today's video we're going to be continuing what we started last week on this channel with the Microsoft Windows Longhorn upgrade saga. Now if you haven't seen that last video, I'd recommend you go and check it out. It'll be up in the cards right now, as essentially what we did in that video is we upgraded through a few of the pre-reset Windows Longhorn builds. And a lot of you guys said, I mean, I kind of mentioned in that video that I might be doing the same thing with the post-reset Longhorn builds, and a lot of you guys said you would like to see that. So that's exactly what we're going to be doing today. So what I've got here on the desk today is the same Dell Latitude D610 that we installed all the pre-reset builds on. It is still running build 4042, as you can see up there at the very top. And what we're going to be trying to do first is actually upgrade from 4042 right to one of the post-reset builds. I highly doubt this is going to work because the post-reset builds are based on an entirely different code base. They're obviously based on the Server 2003 code base. So yeah, I highly doubt this is going to work, but we're going to try it anyway because in theory it's a new build number, but it has the same NT version, so Windows should recognize it as a version like to be able to upgrade to, but we're going to see what happens. Now you might be asking yourself why I am booted into safe mode. Well, the reason for that is build 4042's activation timer ran out, and this is something that all of these Windows versions have. I mean, they're all based on Windows XP. Windows XP has the same activation timer where it basically gives you a brief trial period and then it forces you to activate the build. Now, even though we had put in a product key, it doesn't mean that the operating system was activated, but you can't even activate this because this is a beta build and the activation wizard is essentially broken. You can't go through it even if you wanted to. So I had to boot into safe mode, and we're going to actually see if we can launch the installer for the next build from here. But like I said, I'm pretty certain we're going to have to do a clean install of the next build. What is the build going to be? Well, we're going to try to upgrade first to build 5000. And build 5000 is actually known as an Omega 13 build. And if you saw the last video, that might sound like a departure from the naming scheme that we used throughout the entire video, because all the pre-reset builds pretty much follow a very consistent naming scheme. You had Milestone 3 to Milestone 4 to 5 to 6 to 7. Milestone 7 was the very last phase before the reset. And Omega 13 is essentially the phase in between Milestone 7, which is again the last phase of pre-reset, and pre-beta. So it's kind of this like intermediary period where the development process has been completely reset, the builds look identical to Windows XP, and pre-beta is where you're going to start to see more of the visual changes, and we will get into a pre-beta build in this video as well. So we're going to start with build 5000. We're going to then move on to 5048, which is a pre-beta build. We're going to then move on to the official Vista beta release, which was 5112. We're going to then move to 5384.4, which is the official beta 2 release of Vista. And finally, we're going to end things off with 5600, which is the release candidate 1 release of Windows Vista. So we're not going to go to RTM in this video because, well, we're just going to try to go to RC1, and I have a feeling that from beta 1 to 2 to RC1, that's going to be pretty straightforward because these were all officially released, and I'm certain that Microsoft had the ability to upgrade from beta 1 to beta 2 and then to RC1. But like I said, we're going to be starting with the Omega 13 build, and another kind of big giveaway that this is totally different than what we've been looking at is it actually fits on a CD. Now, you guys may not have noticed, but in the last video I was using both CDs and DVDs, and that's because some of the later, like once you get into like especially Milestone 7, but you had I think the Milestone 6 and 5 builds that we took a look at, they would not fit on a CD because they were over 700 megabytes. But this build here, it actually, the ISO file comes in at I believe 400 or 500 megabytes, so it is way less than all these other builds that we've been taking a look at. So it's opened up actually right here automatically for us, and we're going to run the setup executable. And you see it even says welcome to Windows XP, but the file version you see is 6.0, NT version 6.0, build 5000. Now just for reference, Windows XP's NT version was 5.1 and the RTM release was build 2600. So this is build 5000 and it's again NT version 6.0. So you can see, like I said, I mean, right off the bat, very, very Windows XP-like. We got the same style setup wizard. It tells you, okay, what do you want to do? We're going to install Windows XP. And we boot into a very familiar setup process, and check that out. We actually have upgrade selected. Wow, okay. So that's actually going to work. So we're going to choose upgrade recommended and click on next. We're going to accept the terms of the license agreement. Now this right here is really your only giveaway that this is a Longhorn pre-release version of Windows, because it obviously identifies itself as Windows software codename Longhorn, and it's got the same 180-day license. So we're going to accept this agreement, and we're going to put in our product key. And it's going to ask us to, if we want to download updated setup files. Obviously it's not going to be able to do this, so we'll just click on no. And it's going to go through the process, and this is going, I mean, this whole process so far has looked exactly. So right off the bat, we get a very interesting error message. First of all, up here at the very top, you see it identifies itself as Windows XP 64-bit edition, which is not true. This is not a 64-bit edition build. This is x86. And you see it just says, the following items are not compatible with Windows. Existing software was not fully installed. To fix this problem, click Details. So we can click Details. Microsoft Windows has detected software that is not completely installed. Windows setup cannot continue until you finish installing this software. I wonder if this is the driver. So can we just click on next? Okay, so we can't continue. So that's interesting. Yeah, see, it's probably all of the hardware. That's exactly what it is. So we want to, I guess we have to go through every single one of these add new hardware wizards here. So let's, or maybe that's the only one that's going to come up. Nope, it looks like there's another one if it wants to show up here. Yep, so I think that's exactly what it is. We have to go through every single one of these found new hardware wizards because it's saying that there's devices, or I mean, it just said there was software that's not installed on the system, and I assume this is what it's talking about. None of these drivers are configured properly. Now, as I said in the last video, normally Windows does not do this for things like the keyboard or the printer port or the processor or the battery. It's not going to do this stuff and make you like manually install the driver. The reason it's doing this here is because, as you can see, it comes up and it says that the software has not passed Windows logo testing because it's just not signed properly, from what I understand. Because these are, you know, newer. I mean, this is a pre-release version of Windows, so they don't have everything like signed properly. It's the same thing where in like one of the, I think it was the very first, I think it was 3683 in the last video, where when we went through the install process, and at the very end it said there were some errors because some files were not signed properly. That's because, I mean, they were obviously official Microsoft files, but the setup wasn't able to recognize that because they were not signed properly. So now this would actually be a great time to kind of talk a little bit more about the build we're about to install, which is again 5000. there were actually 6 different builds of Longhorn, or what would become Vista, that had the Build 5000 name, or like the Build 5000 build string. There were multiple different versions of it, and we saw this in like a couple of them. Like for example, 4042 had this, where one was a Milestone 6 build and one was a Milestone 7 build. Well, with Build 5000 there are actually 6. There are 6 different releases. The one we're taking a look at is 5000.vblcore.040803-2000, and that is the very first build of Build 5000 that is known to exist. Now there is actually another build that is older than Build 5000, but is still a post-reset build, and it's actually 3790. It actually has a smaller build number than, like, we're running 4042 right now, which is a Milestone 7 build, and obviously 3790 is a smaller build number than 4042. So yeah, there was actually a few builds. Well, there's one that's known to exist that that was like that, and it's pretty much like a Windows XP build. It is based off the Server 2003 codebase, but its beta wiki describes it as a rebranded Windows Server 2003 Service Pack 1 build, and the only evidence that it's a Longhorn build is in like the license agreements. That's really the only kind of evidence that it's a Longhorn build. It doesn't identify it as Longhorn in the build string. It still says Windows XP. The NT version for it, it is NT version 5.2. 5.2 is actually the NT version for Windows XP 64-bit edition, which is quite interesting. This like USB root hub has come up like 4 times now. I've installed it and it keeps like, so we'll say continue anyway, it'll install, finish, and then nothing else immediately comes up, so it looks like we're done, and then it comes up with USB root hub. So can we just cancel out of this maybe, or is it going to force us to? There's only a couple okay, good. Can't install, don't prompt me again. Perfect. So I think that's everything. Hopefully. That actually might be everything. Okay, so we're going to finally move on to hopefully installing Build 5000 here. So let's click on Install Windows XP once again. Okay, so I think that may have done it, because yep, now it's actually copying installation files. So it looks like we just had to install all of those drivers for all of that hardware. So hopefully we won't have to do that again. So we should now get a option in the boot menu here for Windows Setup, and there we go. So it actually says Microsoft Windows XP 64-bit edition version 2003 setup. So that's very interesting. First off, this is not 64-bit edition, or else we wouldn't be able to install it on this computer, because this is not a 64-bit system. You'll see that the XP branding is gone from the boot screen, the copyright date has been changed to 2004, and the little like animation going across, the little bar you may have noticed, is actually gray as opposed to blue. So there is a modified boot screen. And one of the things that I just think is kind of cool, it's just kind of cool to think about, is we're actually upgrading from like this all new Windows interface, right? Like what we saw in Milestone 7 is nothing like Windows XP. We're basically upgrading from that back to a standard XP interface, but it is in fact a newer release. It's just kind of cool to think about, but that's exactly what happened. This is a brand new, they just started from scratch, and yeah, I didn't even think we were going to be able to upgrade from the Milestone 7 build to this Omega 13 build, but it looks like we're doing just that. I'm not going to jinx myself, because that can definitely, we could still have some problems, but hopefully it will install without any issues. So yeah, while this is installing, a lot of you guys said on the last video, because I was kind of doing some off-topic rambling, and a lot of you guys actually said that you like that aspect of these videos. I guess it kind of gives it a more cozy feel, so I think we're going to be doing some more of that. That video was like 40 minutes long. This one's probably going to be about that. It might even be longer. Again, we are taking a look at 5 builds. So yeah, let's just kind of talk about some stuff. I actually finished the video that I recorded right before this one. I actually did 2 videos today, like recorded both of them. The other one was the Power Toys for Windows XP video, which is going to go up probably, it's Tuesday when I'm making this video right now, and the Power Toys for XP video is going to go out on Wednesday. So you guys will see that on Wednesday, or when you guys have probably already seen that by now. And this video is planning to go out on Friday. So that's kind of my schedule for this week. But prior to, as I'm recording this, my latest video up on the channel right now is the Windows 98 development history, which that was really cool to make, and I'm glad that you guys really enjoyed it. I want to thank you all for the support on that one. It's ranked number, I mean, YouTube, if you go into your analytics, they have like a, where it'll rank how your videos do from 1 to 10 out of your last 10 uploads, and that one actually was number 1, and I think it still is number 1 now. It's done very, very well in terms of views and engagement and all that good stuff. So I'm glad to see that you guys are enjoying that one. I definitely have plans to do more of those. You guys said that you wanted to see, I mean, I've got a lot of requests for Windows 10, Windows 8.1, and even like some Windows NT versions. Some of you guys were saying like, hey, could you do Windows NT 4 or like Windows 2000? I definitely have plans to do some more
We've destroyed an enemy cruiser. Enemy battleship sir. All stations reporting strategic target. The ship is on fire. Detected. We've sunk an enemy destroyer. Torpedoes, direct front.
Necessity isn't just the mother of invention, it's the catalyst for transformation as well. In the American Rust Belt, change isn't just understood, it's intrinsic. As industries have shifted, factories shuttered, and jobs waned, the once backbone of the US was left to become a relic of its former grandeur. Except it hasn't. Because this is a place where conviction runs deep. Hard work, grit, and determination run deeper. And one constant remains: the region's industrious spirit. I've been all around the world, but sometimes you don't have to go too far from home to discover firsthand how technology and tradition combine to form cloud cultures. Time is not always on our side, and in the Rust Belt, it's been anything but kind. The name alone says multitudes. But in the last decade, this industrial icon has rolled up its sleeves, shaken off the rust, and found new footing. Since then, venture capital investments have quadrupled. Tech talent is flourishing, and more than 18,000 startups have formed in the region. The engine of American capitalism has been restarted and is finding a new road to call its own. The Rust Belt encompasses the better part of 9 states. Way too much ground for me to cover alone. Luckily, here in Cincinnati, I'm meeting my friend and colleague, Devin Allen, for a cup of coffee before she heads out for greener pastures.
Thanks so much. Have a good one. Yeah. Hey, Devin.
Thank you so much for having me here. This is fantastic.
Thank you so much for being here. I know you've been traveling a lot and have been all over the world, but it means so much to me that you are in Ohio.
The Rust Belt.
Yes,
here we are.
The Rust Belt,
yeah.
And also my home state, out of all places. So thank you so much for being here.
You grew up in the Appalachian area. What were your experiences with technology growing up?
It was very rare to, even have a computer or to have access to a cell phone or even internet. I did not have internet until I went to college.
Wow.
Since then, I would say I've been able to get more access to technology and travel, and it's really changed my life.
I actually was born in St. Louis, Missouri, so not the Rust Belt, but Midwest nonetheless, and had a little bit of experience with computer science in high school, but it wasn't really until college that I ended up spending a lot of time with computers, more time than I probably should have spent with computers. Speaking of sort of education, I am energized I get a chance to go to the University of Cincinnati. I'm going to talk to some students there about technology and the impact technology.
I'm so excited for you to be there.
That's going to be great. And you're off to Wisconsin.
Yes.
But you're going to Lambeau Field.
Yeah, I'm going to be talking with a person who started an amazing AI company and is really trying to push the limits of what AI can do.
Oh, that's going to be really cool. Well, I look forward to connecting with you again afterwards, and we'll share some stories.
Yes, cheers.
Yep. About 500 miles north of Queen City, bitter cold temperatures and bone-chilling winds are standard fare this time of year in Green Bay. And inside the walls of the frozen tundra, being able to adapt to these conditions gives the home team an advantage over any visitor. Unique initiatives like Titletown Tech are bringing that mindset off the field and into the local community by providing support and dedicated space for tech startups like Synthetic.
Hey, Corey, thank you so much for meeting me.
Hey, Devin, great to meet you.
Yeah, likewise. This is where it all started, right?
This is Titletown Tech, and it's this really awesome partnership between Green Bay Packers and Microsoft, and they were one of our very first investors in Synthetic, and really what helped us grow and build this company here in Wisconsin. Speaking of the Packers, have you ever been to Lambeau Field?
No, I haven't.
Would you like a tour?
Absolutely. Let's go.
All right, let's go.
Wow.
One of the things that we do really well at Synthetic, we process a lot of satellite data, but to give you an analogy of the sorts of things we can find, it's as if we could find a single ant in this entire stadium. You know, one of the things that we did that we got a lot of media attention for, remember the Chinese balloon that flew across the United States? We actually not only found the balloon once in satellite data, we found it 12 times and tracked it all the way back to Hainan Island where it came from in China.
Wow, that seems actually impossible. That is an amazing solution.
Well, I think we've had enough Wisconsin winter. Do you want to head up to the suite and continue the conversation?
Please.
Awesome.
Can you tell me a little bit about why you became so interested in AI?
One of the big points was while I was at grad school and started taking AI classes, I was also working at this underwater robotics company that was using AI and robots to explore the ocean. And that was a moment where I thought, wow, this is awesome. I'm using engineering and the AI technologies. I can do something that's not just engineering, it can also be exploration. And so I got this really big bug to do exploration with the technologies that I was building. And I built these systems that we took under the ice in Antarctica, deep in flooded caves in Mexico. I was on the deck of Titanic, worked in the Congo on anti-poaching expeditions. The common theme was, how can we take artificial intelligence and how can we use that to understand the world better, whether it's conservation or whether it was climate change? How can we use this tool to basically answer questions that we couldn't ourselves as humans because we don't have the time to look at every pixel over Earth, for example?
So here we are sitting in Wisconsin. I feel like this is a place where people don't normally immediately associate it with AI and innovation. Can you tell me a little bit about why you chose to come back to Wisconsin?
Even though I grew up in Wisconsin, never really thought I'd move back. The winters are cold here, as you've seen. However, all of our family's back here in Wisconsin. And once we were here, when I decided to start Synthetic, to start this AI company, all my friends thought I was crazy. They thought I was going to move to Silicon Valley, or they thought I was going to move back to Boston, to the point where I couldn't convince some of them that I was serious. We've been able to get awesome talent from University of Wisconsin-Madison and from Illinois. And I think a part of starting a technology company in the Midwest, there's really some advantages that I don't think exist in the same way on some of the coasts. My commute to work is 4 minutes every day. If you're not spending 2 or 3 hours a day in the car, it means you have more time to spend with your family, but it also means you have that little bit more downtime that I think you need to really be creative.
I think the importance is really connecting that talent with opportunity, which sounds like exactly what you're doing. So how has the culture of the people you've hired impacted your company?
I think the work ethic, the day-to-day chutzpah to get in there and get it done is really high in the Midwest, and that's something that we've enjoyed.
So I think one thing that we're starting to see is that the Midwest and the Rust Belt are really on the rise with technology and innovation. Can you share a little bit about your experience?
I very much see that too, and that's new. It feels very new. It's about having enough people, enough organizations. It's about having funding. That's one of the reasons that organizations like Titletown Tech are so critical, by not only bringing together companies through their funding and their championship, but also being able to bring in organizations like the Green Bay Packers.
Small but mighty.
That's right.
Divergence can be an invaluable asset, not just in thought, but process too. By asking the right questions and challenging convention, Synthetic has found unique opportunities to push AI to new frontiers. The next wave of innovation is emerging here, on campus. Students dream big, they think they can change the world, and you know what? It's probably why they often do. And at the University of Cincinnati, that ambition is producing real results, like a record-breaking number of patents in 2023. Let's see what we can learn.
We have a special guest today, surprise.
Hello, everyone.
This is
Good
Corey
to see
from
you all.
Microsoft.
Yeah, hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, so we're doing a project on AI, and I think you're the perfect person to kind of step in and actually give us some more information about what you're seeing in that world.
The pressure is now high
It's
based on the
true,
way you've
yeah.
introduced me.
I did hype you up quite a bit.
Okay, well, let's see if I can live up to that hype. If you guys are up for it, we could do some questions. Yeah, go ahead.
I have a question. So I'm a medical sciences student, and I'm curious about your perspective on how you think AI is going to change healthcare delivery.
Yeah. I think it will be through phases, right? I think one of the biggest changes will be helping doctors. Sometimes the amount of information that's out there in any field, but especially in medicine, is huge. And so the ability to help doctors be able to understand that broader set of information and pull the information they need for whatever condition, whatever thing they're looking at, I think is gonna really help them save time and get to the answers and help their patients quicker and better.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you all. This was a lot of fun. And good luck on your projects. You guys are doing the next wave of work, so looking forward to it. All right, shall we go?
Yep.
All right.
All right.
Aaron, Kate, Jay, thank you so much for having me. And Aaron, thank you for letting me intrude on your class, some amazing students that we got to talk to. This is an amazing room, an amazing building, and an amazing campus.
One of the things that I think makes UC really strong is that we have these relationships with industry. So being able to have you come to the Innovation Hub and give some firsthand experience about the work you're doing is a signature part of what we do here. So happy to have you. And we've been here for more than 200 years. We have record enrollments year over year. This building is a place that was a vision that our president had to kind of do more of that and bring more industry connections with students.
The 1819 Innovation Hub is really the open door of the university, connecting our student talent to the Fortune 500 companies that we have in Cincinnati. And so having this as a service, sort of a concierge between industry and students, really gives our students and industry partners a level up in terms of having the best talent and access to those students.
A great opportunity to create a bridge between the
Exactly.
technology of the students and the research of the students with industry. What have you both seen from students and the work they're doing?
One of the things that's most interesting about UC is our connection to experiential learning and connection to the outside world. And so we have something called a co-op program where lots of students spend every other semester working full-time in industry. And as you talk to our students, a lot of them will say that's why they chose to come to UC. This building is a great example of that. The co-op program is a great example of that. And we think that that's kind of a signature strength of what we're doing here.
I would agree on that point. From the co-op perspective, hey, right from your second year, you're working with real technology at real companies and working on real projects that go out in the real world and help people or solve problems. So that really changes your perspective on looking at classes. Things seem a lot more relevant.
The co-op, the industry experience is giving you a leg up, if you will,
Yes.
once you actually go into industry.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to think that we have sort of that Midwest grit and hustle here that allows our students to kind of excel, and the co-op model, I think that's really what makes us different here. And it really gives us our students the opportunity to connect with industry and to learn about the most recent technology and to have that sort of skill set so that they can go out and get those high-paying jobs that are so needed by today's economy.
One of the things you've done is you've created a fund, speaking of helping people.
Yep.
What is this that you've done?
Definitely. At our university and at the Center for Entrepreneurship, we've realized startups, like that's where a lot of innovation tends to happen. And of course, startups need funding. Essentially, Bearcat Ventures, it's a $1 million student venture fund where we focus on getting real life experience to students rather than it being in a class setting. It's kind of going back into the real world and hopefully making an impact and important of all, learning while we're doing it.
That's really cool. As part of that, I keep hearing this passion around the spirit of the region, the spirit of the Midwest, of the Rust Belt. What does that mean being in such a successful and innovative university within that area?
You mentioned sort of the American Rust Belt. I would like to say we're kind of the new Silicon Heartland in terms of we have so much going on in this state. I think the Midwest is often referred to as flyover country, but there's a lot actually here that is happening and is driving the economy of this nation.
Well, the impact you're having on innovation and the impact you're having on industry and, of course, the impact you're having on the students and the impact they will then have on industry is really magnificent. And so the Silicon Heartland, I love it. I look forward to seeing it continue to grow. Through the 1819 Innovation Hub, students are able to take innovation out of the classroom and gain real-world experience in less obvious but just as critical areas, like how to finance your world-changing innovation. Devin is back in Ohio and hungry for one of her local favorites, so we'll be reconnecting at the iconic 1940s restaurant, Camp Washington Chili. But before Devin and I dive in, Camp Washington's owner gives me a peek behind the curtain to reveal the secret of Camp Washington's success. Spoiler alert, it's chili.
So this is the mother load. This is where we make 60 gallons of chili every day.
That is a lot of chili.
Well, we'll go through it in 24 hours.
In 24 hours?
Yes, because we're open all night long.
All night long.
You want to do the honors?
Am I allowed to?
And we just don't let anybody do this,
Oh,
you know.
I mean, and particularly people wearing white
you
shirts.
gotta dig
it's
deep.
like really.
Dig deep.
All right, dig.
There you go.
There we go. All right.
You got it.
This is it. So now that I've stirred the chili, does that mean I get to know the secret spices?
Oh, yes, but then we'd have to kill you.
Oh, maybe I'll just hand this back to you now.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much. So exciting to be able to see it and, more importantly, eat it. So
thanks for coming and enjoying Cincinnati.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank
All right.
Here, guys. Thank you. You're welcome.
I mean, this is a serious thing here. I was able to eat durian. I think I can survive this, but
You're going to come out a different person.
we're gonna see. We're gonna see. So is
really
my
quick-
shirt. My shirt's gonna come out a different person too.
Really quick, let me explain. So you're eating the 5-way, which
Okay.
is the pasta, then you have the beans, and then you have the chili, and then you have the onions and cheese.
All right, here we go. Let's see. I'm gonna take a bite of this, and then we'll talk more about tech and stuff. As I was saying, the trip to UC was awesome. Just so inspired by Kate, Aaron, and Jay. They're doing such great work, focusing on innovation, but focusing on that bridge between tech and AI and actual application of it, usage of it across industries is really inspiring.
I really think there's so much that can come from this region and the people and the way the culture plays a role in it too, the level of grit.
So cool. And you took a trip to Wisconsin, yeah?
Sure did.
And how was it? Lambeau Field?
Yeah, it was my first time in Wisconsin. I loved it, and I actually met with another Corey.
Oh, okay. Was he also really cool?
He was very cool.
Very cool.
Yeah,
Good.
yeah. What I love about his story is he's actually born and raised in small town Wisconsin, and after traveling the world, he was inspired to actually start his startup in Wisconsin, of all places, in Green Bay.
One of the things that Kate said to me was how she thinks of the area as changing and becoming more of the Silicon Heartland instead of the Rust Belt.
I love that so much. One of the things I love doing is changing people's perception of this part of the country, and so much more than what people think it is.
Yeah.
And again, so much talent.
So much chili.
Yeah, so much chili and cheese.
And cheese.
Speaking of cheese,
Oh, okay.
I do have something for
Oh,
you.
no.
Brought it back
Speaking of
just
cheese.
for you.
I can already see what it is. I will not don that.
Here you go, Corey. Gift just for you.
Do I put the...
Absolutely.
No, I think it goes this way.
The cheese while wearing the cheese hat. Okay.
Does it look good? Now I'll eat this and wear this on the plane. It'll be fun all around.
An icon.
All right, here we are. I'm getting some more. Crunchy. There's a seismic shift underway in the Rust Belt. But the driving force behind it isn't technology or equipment, it's heart and soul. Innovation and ambition are redefining this region of America as the people and companies here leverage the skills of their industrial past and adapt them to forge a new future. I, for one, am very excited to witness the rise of the Silicon Heartland. Up next, we'll discover a country that's honed precision into an art form, and where noodles come in a cup, as opposed to under a mountain of cheese and chili. See you in Japan.
As of right now, I think probably the next one is going to be either Windows 8.1 or possibly like ME or Windows 2000 or something like that. And I'm even thinking of actually, and let me know if you guys would want to see this, I've been thinking of redoing some of the older development videos that I did, which I've done some on XP, Windows Vista, and Windows 95. I did 3, and those are actually in like a bit of an older style where I do a like scripted intro, but the majority of the video is like I just have notes up and I'm just kind of reading off the notes and actually taking you through the builds live essentially. And it's not scripted, it's more like spread out because especially like the Longhorn one, it's like split up into 2 like hour-long videos, so it's like 2 hours worth of content, and I take a look at like 4 builds in each video, and yeah, I just kind of go through every single one of those builds, and again, it's not scripted, so I'm just kind of reading off some notes and like going, okay, we're going to go to this feature, and here's what's changed, and you know, so if you guys want to see like remakes of those in this new style that I'm doing, which is like a fully scripted video, be sure to let me know, and who knows, I might do one of those next because I would honestly like to redo those. So you see we actually got some changes to the boot screen here. It now says Windows XP once again with the blue bar going across. The copyright date is still the same though, it says 2004. So yeah, here we are back in the Windows XP style setup process. It once again identifies itself here as Windows XP Professional. But yeah, for those of you guys who saw the 98 development history video, you probably saw that I did have a physical copy of Windows 98 along with 95 ME and XP. I got these a few years ago. I did an unboxing video on these. If you want to check that out, I'll have the link up in the cards. I actually got these a while ago, I think from eBay or from a garage sale, and they were in pretty good shape, is why I got them. The Windows 98 box is really the only problem with it is this little tear up here at the very top where the Windows logo is. Everything else is like totally fine. Which is definitely pretty cool. It's fully complete. There's a copy. This is an upgrade edition of Windows 98. So this is not. I don't think this is second edition. This is just the regular, first edition. I do have second edition, just not in a box like this. So we got 98. We'll go ahead and set that down over here. 95. This is kind of interesting. I got the box at a garage sale. It came with the Internet Explorer starter kit. It didn't come with the 95 CD, but the box was in extremely good shape. I just kind of bought it just to have. And then I actually found a copy. I can go ahead and open it up here and show you guys. I actually found a copy of Windows 95 that I just added to the box, and the IE starter kit is actually sealed, by the way, so there you go. But yeah, this is the version that came with Internet Explorer, so it's not the original. It's once again an upgrade edition. All of these are upgrade editions. And again, this is just like off-topic rambling. This has nothing to do with what we're doing here, but you guys said that you like this, so I'm just going to do some more of it, because it is kind of fun every once in a while. This one for Windows ME, this is actually kind of unique because it's the promotional step-up release. So this was actually for users of 98 and 98 second edition. You could get this special version of Windows ME. It came in this blue box as opposed to the white box that the regular full version of ME came in. And this one, someone bought at Sam's Club for $45.97. This one was much cheaper. There were 3 different releases of Emmy. There was the retail version. Well, there was 3 different retail that you could go buy at a store. There was the main version, which was for if you didn't have a OS on your computer. There was the upgrade version for users of 95. And obviously 98 could use that as well. But if you had 98, this version was just for you. It was cheaper. And it came in this blue box, and it was called the promotional step-up release. I just think that it's pretty cool. This one, unfortunately, there is some writing on the back of the box, and there's also a tear right here. You can see there's a big old tear right down there, which is kind of unfortunate. And there's a few nicks in the box, but overall it's in pretty good shape. The box itself is still very sturdy. This one actually has a cardboard insert, which, the 95, 98, and Emmy boxes that I have all have a cardboard insert on the inside, so it really helps to kind of keep the box shape. And I can open this one up here. And this one's got that same cardboard, and this, if we open this right up here, it actually comes in a jewel case this time, as opposed to the 98 and 95 versions did not come in a jewel case. They came in a little sleeve. This one comes in this nice jewel case. So, and it's also got advertisements for MSN. Discover the everyday web with 3 months free internet access from MSN. So yeah, pretty cool. Obviously that offer is expired now, but it's still pretty cool to see. And here is the Windows ME Quick Start Guide. I would like to do a video, a development history video on Windows ME, and yeah, I will probably do that at some point. And I do have the box to get some nice B-roll of, so that'll be pretty cool. So this is the copy of ME that I have, and it looks like we're at 19 minutes on the installer. And fittingly, since we're installing, well, what looks to be Windows XP, I've got a copy of Windows XP right here. This is XP Home Edition. This is, again, the upgrade release. This box is in the worst shape out of these 4 box copies of Windows that I have with me. You can see there's this giant dent on the side here, kind of unfortunate. This, I don't know actually if the XP, and I think I might have said this in the original unboxing video, I don't know if the XP boxes were supposed to have or did have the cardboard insert. This one does not, so I don't know if the cardboard insert was removed from here or if it never came with one. But one of the cardboard inserts from one of these boxes will fit in here. So you can actually, and I actually did that to kind of reshape the box, if you will. I actually took the cardboard insert from the ME box and actually slid it in here, and it actually kind of helped to restore it a little bit, but it's still this big dent here. So yeah, I don't know if the XP boxes were supposed to have that, but this one doesn't. And that's obviously, if it was supposed to come with one, the owner just took it out and threw it away. But it does have the it's got this little folder here is kind of what the installation media is contained in. And if we open this up, it's kind of folds out like this. It's pretty nice. So there's the disc right there, and it kind of has the instruction manual and the getting started guide kind of tucked away right behind this little folder sleeve here. So yeah, it's actually kind of cool. So that's Windows ME, it's Windows XP Home Edition. And I actually have Professional Edition, just not in this nice box. I have it on this right here. This is XP Professional. This is one of those. I don't know if, yeah, this is an OEM copy, so that's why it's not in this nice big box here. It's actually just in this little thing. This is the instruction manual, kind of how to install it, and then you got your disk and your product key, which is this one, the one you would actually stick on your computer. So this was for OEM system builders. So yeah, I do have that copy as well. So that is all, and I do have some other copies of vintage software. I've got the Microsoft Office stuff, Microsoft Word, Excel 4.0. I think the Word version is 2.0. That's just in storage at the moment. I don't have it with me right now. So yeah, that's just kind of a little look at, again, just a total off-topic thing, but hopefully you guys didn't mind it very much. I know that was probably longer than what we took a look at in the last video. The off-topic section was, I don't think it was that long, but you guys said that you would like it, and I just kind of thought it'd be cool to keep it in here. And yeah, be sure to let me know if you want to see more of that, because I can definitely do some more off-topic stuff. I think every single comment I read relating to the rambling stuff in the last video, all of them were like, yeah, do some more off-topic rambling. That was fun. We definitely want to see more of that. I don't think I read a single one that was like, no, don't do that. We're going to go ahead and go through the out-of-box experience here. It says, welcome to Microsoft Windows. It says, thank you for purchasing Microsoft Windows XP. We'll go ahead and click on next here. And we're going to type in our name. We're just going to do M. I just did that for the... Actually, can we just hit skip here? Let's just do that. Perfect. Thank you. So the build string down at the very bottom, you probably saw it there, and you will see it again once we actually log in. I'm going to probably lower the resolution a little bit so you guys can actually see everything a little bit better. I believe this is the same resolution that I set in one of the earlier builds. We have this message right here, data execution prevention. To help protect your computer, Windows has closed this program, generic host process for Win32 services. By Microsoft. So, okay, we'll close the message. Okay, encountered a problem, it needs to close. Okay, don't send. And you can see right here it says, because again, this is based off the Server 2003 code base, so it's identifying itself up here as Server 2003. And it says, please help us improve this beta version of Windows. If you click send, so this was because of that crash that I just got. So we'll click on don't send. It's not like it would actually send anything to them. So let's actually go into settings here and downscale. So this is actually 1400 by 1050, which is not what I had it set as in the original, like in the previous build. I think I had it set to like 1024 by 768. So we got it set to 800 by 600 here, so you guys can see this a little bit better. And you'll notice that it actually has reset us back to the Windows Classic theme. I don't think that is normally supposed to happen. I think it's supposed to have the Luna theme. On the desktop, as I said, the build string here, it is identifying itself as Windows XP Professional, build 5000. We can go into WinVer here. There's actually a bit of interestingness in WinVer. And that is that it's no longer Windows XP, it's Microsoft Windows LH, which is short for Longhorn. And again, the NT version is 6.0, build 5000, all that good stuff. Since we didn't enter in a username, it defaults to Windows User. So we'll go ahead and click OK to get out of that. Now you'll notice that on the desktop, it's actually, obviously since we did an upgrade, it has kept all of the files that we had actually made in the few previous builds. So we've got this toolbar up here. This is actually the speech program, so that's actually interesting. That launches by default. And actually, I stand corrected, the Luna theme is not in here. I thought it was, because I'm pretty sure the screenshot I saw from BetaWiki like had this build running with the Luna theme. But it looks to be like it's not in here. So we can change the color scheme, and this would be another good test, is actually, like, let's change it to, let's go to the brick theme, and let's actually change, once again, just like we did in the pre-reset Longhorn video, let's change the size and colors of all this stuff. So let's change the font to, do you guys want to do Comic Sans again? Yeah, let's do Comic Sans. Probably some of you guys are screaming yes and some of you guys are screaming no, but we're going to go with it. There we go. Check that out. This looks so bad. Okay, so we'll click on OK. The start button is also changed over to Comic Sans. Once again, we have the wonderful build string. And yeah, you can see Control Panel, aside from the wonderful modifications we've done, has the same category view as in XP. I don't actually see the thing to change it over to the classic view, which is interesting. It's normally on the side here. Oh, you can see it for a split second, but it actually goes away. That's interesting. So I wonder if I can like kind of click this. Yeah, so you have to kind of like refresh and kind of quickly press the mouse button. So yeah, I don't know if that's normally supposed to happen. It's probably not. It's probably just because of the wonderful theme we applied. So yeah, like I said, you guys can probably see this largely resembles Windows XP. I mean, seriously, it looks like you got the same background. You've got the same like programs, the same layout in the start menu. If we go into all programs here, all the icons are the same. We don't have any new programs. Really, the only major giveaways are the build string on the desktop, which is not normally there, and even if it was there, the build is not 5000. The NT version is not 6.0 as seen in WinVer. It's not Windows LH. So they've really done like a few visual modifications, but we're going to see some more visual modifications in 5048. I've got 5048 right here on this DVD, and you can see that yeah, it's on a DVD as opposed to a CD. That's because this actually does not fit on a CD. So yeah, 5048 is a pre-beta build. And even though it actually will identify it as a beta 1 build, but Beta Wiki and the collection book, which are both very good resources, by the way, if you're kind of into Windows beta stuff, both say that this is a pre-beta build. So we're going to go ahead and pop this DVD into the drive right now. So preliminary release of Microsoft Windows codename Longhorn. The software is time sensitive, will stop functioning in 180 days. This build, I believe, there was a x86 and 64-bit version, and it's actually that way for a couple of these that we're going to take a look at today. So it just kind of tells you install Longhorn on clean partitions only. You may only perform a clean install. Oh, that's okay. Well, that's a big problem. You cannot upgrade your computer to this release. You can sort of clean install. Well, that's annoying. So it looks like we have a what was that? Yeah, 4074 situation where it didn't allow us to upgrade. We'll just try it anyway. Let's see if we launch into the installer here, see if it actually has a upgrade option for us. And yep, just as it says, Express Upgrade has been disabled. And this is once again that non-componentized thing. Non-componentized Longhorn Windows installs cannot be upgraded. CBB Longhorn build 5019 and higher is required for upgrades. To upgrade, you must be running CBB Longhorn build 5019. So this is going to be kind of, I mean, we like had this that happened with one of the builds in the previous video, where, so this is the earliest pre-beta build that we have. This is 5048. Okay, so there's no pre-beta builds prior to this. And the build it's asking us that we need to have minimum 5019, we know exists, but the only reason we know it exists is because of this setup screen right here. So like we had this exact same thing happen to whatever the Milestone 3 build was, or the Milestone 4 build that we took a look at in the last video, where it said you have to be running build 4000. Build 4000 we only know existed because of the setup screen. So it looks like we're going to have to do a clean install because there's no other way around this. We can upgrade to, there is a build, like the latest Omega 13 build that we know of is 5001, but we can upgrade to that and it's still going to do the same thing because it's not 5019. So we're going to have to do a clean install. I was hoping there was going to be like another workaround, but it doesn't look like that's going to be the case. So setup has found an existing Windows installation. If you continue, so it will actually keep the Windows documents and settings and programs folders. It'll just add the .000 kind of like suffix to it. So we'll just click on continue. So it will actually keep all of our documents, but it'll just do, so it's not again like a clean install. To do that, you'd have to format the partition. But we're not going to do that because we don't have to. So that is unfortunate. I was kind of hoping we were going to be able to upgrade and do like a full upgrade from the Omega 13 build to this pre-beta build, but I didn't even think we were going to get to upgrade from the Milestone 7 build to the Omega 13 build, but you guys saw that we did just that. So hopefully, since again after this we're going to be taking a look at the Beta 1 release, the Beta 2 release, and then the official release candidate 1 release. And I'm hoping that we'll be able to upgrade from this pre-beta right to Beta 1. So yeah, that's going to be the plan. We'll again see how it all works. But we're going to let the Longhorn setup collect information and begin copying files. Alright, welcome back everybody. So it's actually been a few days since the last clip was recorded, and I wanted to kind of update you guys on what was going on. So after the last clip, the installer restarted and it attempted to boot into build 5048's installer. And you can see that, well, this is what we have going on. It has been on this boot screen, well, when it was trying to boot from the hard drive, it was been on this boot screen for about an hour, probably an hour and a half as I was working on some other projects. And so it's clearly not going to get past this screen. I tried to change the date. I tried to like update the date and time to around the time this build was compiled, and that did not solve the issue. So then I tried booting from the CD, which I'm doing right now, to kind of restart the installer, and you can see that is not working either. So what I've decided to do is move on to another build. We're going to actually try out build 5098, which is one of the last pre-beta builds. So I've got build 5098 burned to a rewritable DVD. Yes, I made another investment and got a set of rewritable DVDs now, so that's going to be super useful because I actually ran out of the blank DVDs that I've been using. So we're going to go ahead and pop this DVD into the drive. And there we go, Windows is installing. So the plan now is, since we basically had to substitute 5048 for 5098, we're going to install this. We're going to then try to upgrade to 5112, 5384.4, and then finally 5600. So I'll be back once this actually installs. Well guys, we finally got build 5098 installed, and man, let me tell you, this took a while. I thought that I was going to have to restart the installation because the installer froze for, well, it like didn't freeze it, but it was stuck on the installation screen for, I don't know, probably close to an hour. But this is it. This is what build 5098 looks like, and this is once again a pre-beta build. This was one of the last pre-beta builds actually before the official beta 1 was released, which actually referred to the OS as Windows Vista. It's still called Windows codename Longhorn in here, and you can see it does identify itself as a beta 1 release, but on Beta Wiki and I believe the collection book, it does say that this is one of the last pre-beta builds. So yeah, so this is what WinVer looks like, copyright 2005, the build strings down here at the bottom. And what I'm going to do really quickly here, because we are just going to move on to the beta 1 build, we're going to try to upgrade to that, because this video I think has been going on, like I've been editing the footage and it's been going on for like over 30 minutes with all the footage I have, and we're just on the second build now. So we're going to go into control panel. So there we go. I decided not to make it Comic Sans this time, but you can see we got our gigantic window titles, window buttons, the wonderful build string down there at the bottom. It's still in the default font, which in this case is actually a Sego UI, so which is the font used in Windows 8. And let's go ahead and make some new icons on the desktop. So we'll add a text document. We'll just call this 5098, and we'll open it up and say hello, and we'll save that. And oh, check that out, there's a new icon for a notepad that would ultimately be dropped in the final release. Yeah, check that out. It's got a new icon there. Yes, there are some new icons. If you can't really notice, some of them do look like the Vista icons, like we got the recycle bin here. But the way you actually select the icons is still the way it was in XP. Obviously, Vista had that kind of like square glass pane that would kind of be around an icon as you hover over it. So that was not seen in this build. And also the design of the start menu is now like the all programs no longer pops out. It just takes up the left column when you click on it. And we're going to make one more thing. Let's go ahead and make let's make a briefcase. And let's just call this hello. So with all that set up, we're going to move on to 5112. I've got the disk in the drive right now. We'll see if it actually just comes up with auto run. And so it does. So here is the new auto run menu for this build. We're going to go ahead and run the setup program. All right, and let's see if we have an upgrade option. Oh, we don't. Okay. To upgrade, you must be running a Longhorn build 5099 or later. So yeah, this is basically the exact same situation that we had with the other build in this video. We only know that 5099 exists because of this screen, and we're again running 5098, so we are one build short from being able to upgrade to 5112. There's no way for us to upgrade to this build because yeah, we don't have access to 5099, so we're going to have to do a custom install once again. Yeah, so windows.old, so it's going to actually keep the Windows documents and settings and program files just like it said before. So we'll try this again. So yeah, with this, it should keep all of the icons and files that we had on the desktop, but it's just not going to actually keep the themes. So this is unfortunate. We're kind of, I mean, the only build we've been able to upgrade to in this video is the very first one, which was the only one I didn't think was going to work. I thought all of these were going to work just fine. So yeah, build 5000, going from 4042 to build 5000 was the only direct upgrade we were able to do. 5000 to 5048 did not work, and now we're running 5098, and 5098 to 5112 did not work. So yeah, it's kind of unfortunate, but hey, this is what happens in these videos. So we'll go ahead and get 5112 installed and see where we can go from there. Well, so much for that. You see we got this Windows setup error message which says an error occurred while copying setup files onto your local machine. And it looks like it's going to cancel installation. So we might have to just boot up from the disk and actually run the installer outside of Windows. So we'll go ahead and do just that. So we will restart the system and attempt to boot off the CD and go through the installer that way. Alright guys, well it has been a little while, but I was finally able to get build 5112 installed. The time down there at the bottom is once again not correct. It's not 2:19 a.m. right now. It's actually 9:27. It's about 9:30 p.m. here where I am. But it's been a couple hours, and essentially what ended up happening was, and I've been seeing this with the other couple builds that we've been taking a look at, but I would go through, and you guys saw when we were trying to upgrade to this build first, what happened was the installer gave an error, and it had us reboot. It basically said that it couldn't continue the installation from being booted into Windows. So what I did is I restarted the installation from booting off of the DVD, and when it asked me what partition to install on, I selected the same partition. It came up with that message that said, okay, we're going to keep your Windows folder, program files, and documents and settings, and we're going to add the .old extension to the Windows folder and all that. So I'm like, okay, great. I think by doing that, because it did the same thing on the previous build where then it just rendered the system unbootable, I think that actually screwed it up, because what happened was the system was booting up after it installed, and it was instantly blue screening and then restarting. So what I did is I booted off the DVD again. I then formatted the partition, did a clean install, and then it actually booted up just fine, and here we are booted into build 5112. So it appears that actually telling the setup wizard to save our old data and basically not formatting the hard drive and doing a full clean install actually, well, at least in this case, I mean, from what I can tell, renders the system unbootable, because that's the only change that I made in between those two install attempts, was choosing to save the data and not save the data. So here we are in build 5112, but I'm glad to say that we finally got beta 1 installed. And yes, this is not Windows Longhorn beta 1, this is Windows Vista beta 1. This actually changes the name of the operating system from Longhorn to Vista. It begins to refer to it as Windows Vista from here on out. As we saw in the last build, it was still codename Longhorn. However, in things like WinVer, we still see some remnants of Longhorn, as you can see here. You can see that the theme, it kind of still has like an XP-esque theme going on, where, I mean, it's a totally new theme, but just the design of the taskbar and the start menu do look very similar to the design in XP, obviously with a new color scheme. Vista would obviously have the start orb as opposed to this style button down here. That would come with the final release of Vista. We do start to see some icons changing. The My prefix has been dropped from all of these folders here. That was something actually we started to see way back in the pre-reset builds. But yeah, we got new icons pretty much all across the board. We saw some of those in the prior build as well. But there are definitely some things that are still looking just like they did in XP, and one of those is the System Properties menu. We can go in here to Computer, right-click, and go to Properties, and you'll see that it once again identifies itself as codename Longhorn in here. This is one of the other references to Longhorn that is still in this build. But once again, the design of this applet here is exactly the same as it was in XP. Obviously, Vista, as we all know, would get a whole new redesigned System Properties menu. And it would actually kind of open up in a Windows Explorer-like window as opposed to this applet that we have here. And we also, one of the other changes on the desktop is we have the larger icons, which Vista would have larger icons than XP did by default. And yes, since this is a clean install, since I formatted the hard drive, we don't have any of our documents that we saved on the desktop. We certainly don't have any of our custom theme preferences, and we don't have like a windows.old folder in the C drive. You can see there's nothing here. Obviously, this was a format, fresh install. Now, some of you guys are probably looking at the length of the video going, okay, how are we going to get these other two builds done in this short amount of time? Well, the answer is, unfortunately, we're not, and I've decided to do this. The reason being is, you're going to love this. Beta 2 basically does the exact same thing, and here's a screenshot of what I'm talking about. The upgrade from Beta 1, this is again the official Beta 1 build, to the official Beta 2 build, has been disabled, and it says that we need to have build 5383, and guess what? That is a build that we do not have access to. So the reason why I decided to end the video off here is because, well, this isn't really an upgrade anymore. This is just a bunch of clean installs, and the whole point of this video was to really try and start at build 5000 and upgrade our way all the way to the RC1 release of Vista, and I was even going to try to go farther than that, possibly even to RTM originally. But as you can see, we've definitely run into some issues, and the main issue being is the past couple of builds that we've wanted to upgrade to have all required builds that we don't have accessible to us. And like I said before, I could upgrade to some earlier, because this is the final beta 1 version. There are some earlier beta 2 builds that I could try to upgrade to, but then getting to the final beta 2 build, well, it's not going to work because the build we need, we don't have access to. And I can probably guess that we're possibly going to see the same thing with RC1 and RC2, just making an educated guess based on what we've already seen here in beta 1 and beta 2. So yeah, it's not really an upgrade anymore. We're just doing a bunch of clean installs, which is not really the point of this video. Like I said, I wanted to try to upgrade our way and kind of retain user set preferences throughout these builds. So the pre-reset video where we did this was definitely way more successful. We definitely ran into a couple of hiccups, but we were able to upgrade to the majority of the builds that I had selected. The only one, like, out of this whole video, and I find this kind of funny, the only one that we were actually able to upgrade to was from the pre-reset milestone 7 build to the Omega 13 build 5000, which is a post-reset build, and that is the only one that I didn't think was going to work. I thought all the other ones were going to work just fine, but as you can see, that is not the case. But again, that's the whole point of these videos. This is a total experiment. This is just having fun, throwing stuff on this computer, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't work. And as you can see, unfortunately, the majority of these builds we were not able to upgrade to. But hey, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, this much longer project tech experiment style video. If you did, definitely be sure to give it a thumbs up. Be sure to get subscribed down below. Turn on those channel notifications if you haven't already to get notified whenever I upload a new video, which I do every single week, multiple times per week on this channel. And if you guys have any comments, questions, or video suggestions for me, or just your thoughts on this process, or if you guys want me to do this with some of the Whistler builds or some other Windows beta, be sure to let me know, because this was kind of fun, and hopefully we'll see more success with some of the other versions that we take a look at. But for now, guys, I just want to thank you all so much for watching and for your continued amazing support here on this channel, and I will see you all, as always, in the next video.
Când constipația apare ocazional, Optifibre te poate ajuta. Acum, într-un nou ambalaj.
Cu Head & Shoulders nu ai mătreață. O previi până la 100% protecție împotriva mătreții.
Let me feel your love again. 'Cause I've been running round in circles.
What's going on, Papa Fam? Welcome to the stream. Uber. Highly demanded Uber. We're finally taking the dive. We're doing React Native with Uber. Let me know in the comments if you're excited right now. We're about to blow this place up. We almost have 500 likes and I haven't even started yet. That is crazy. Papa Fam, I have so much coming for you guys. I'm so excited. We are going to crush it. I hope you guys are ready for this. Let's go ahead and see what we're building today, guys. Uber 2.0 with React Native. iOS, Android development, Tailwind, Redux, all that amazing stuff. Right now, get hyped. Tell me where you're watching from right now. 450 likes, almost at 500. Let's go, Papa Fam. Check this out. Uber. Watch this, guys. We have Google Places autocomplete. Go ahead and hit some London. Let's go ahead and get a ride. Nice. Let's go ahead and go to, where should we go, guys? Where should we go? Let me know where we should go right now. It's a fully interactive map, by the way. Let's go to Essex. Essex. Boom. Complete navigation from A to B. Clickable points. Map resizes, does everything it needs to do by itself. We've got Google Distance Matrix API calculating the distance for us. Absolutely crazy stuff, guys. Crazy stuff. Look at this. Calculates a price for us for each different one. We can even click on each one. Crazy. It tells us the actual travel time. 55 minutes to get from A to B. Now, I don't know about you guys, but that is sick. I see everyone dropping in where they're watching from right now. We got Manchester, we got, let's have a look, Basingstoke, Milton Keynes. Oh, Milton Keynes in the house. What's up, guys? Romania in the house. Nice. Luke says that's clean as hell. Guys, check it out. And not only did I do that, look at this. It completely, you can actually swipe back, right? And then if we click this button over here, boom, back to the top, start the whole process again. Let's go ahead and do, let's check it out, guys. Let's do London. I will do from London Eye. Let's go from London Eye. There you go, London Eye. Let's go to, I didn't know you could do this, but let's go ahead and let's do it to Germany, right? Let's actually drive all the way to Germany. Boom! It's going to cost a lot, but you can go to Germany. That is sick. Smash the thumbs up button if you're excited for that, because I'm so pumped. I set a huge task this time, and I went ahead and built this out, and you guys completely, you can mess around with the map, completely responsive, even has things like, if I go ahead and open the keyboard, pushes the entire screen up. So sick. So sick. Getting hyped for this, guys. We got so much to look forward to. I'm going to break down this build in front of us right now so you guys can see what we're going to be doing in today's video, okay? So let's break down this build. What's actually happening here, right? Let me go ahead and say, right, Uber clone. You might not be able to see that, but anyway, it's cool. Uber clone, right? So in this build, we're using React Native. Nice. And bear in mind, I get loads of questions. If you know React, you're going to be good for this one. Don't worry, take the plunge, okay? So we're going to be doing, tons of cool React stuff today. But I'm also going to introduce you to React Native so you can build your own iOS and Android apps. So much fun. It's going to be hyped, right? We're going to use tons of Google APIs today. So I'm not only going to be using one API, I'm going to be using the Directions API, the Places API, even the Distance Matrix API, which actually allows us to calculate travel times, all that crazy stuff, right? So we're going to be doing loads today, right? And also, I updated the playlist. So if you want to go ahead and check it out, sign up to the newsletter down below. And guys, before I carry on, I just want to let you guys know, right? We have a huge, I'm not just stopping here with Uber, right? We have an absolutely massive challenge coming up. I'm not even finished. Look, Airbnb next week, starting Tuesday. Go ahead, sign up. First link in the description right now. A 5-day challenge starting next Tuesday. So I didn't just stop with Uber.
E mai mult decât ieftin. E de la Lidl. Profită de ofertele noi. Cine se trezește dis de dimineață, pe răcoare, ia ceva din piață. Hai la piața Lidl să îți alegi roșii țărănești la doar 12,99 lei kilogramul, pe când ceilalți dorm și visează la ele. Salata de roșii merge lejer cu un șnițel proaspăt din piept de curcan redus cu 25% dacă scanezi la casă cardul din aplicația Lidl Plus. La fel de lejer te încadrezi și în bugetul de cumpărături cu reducerile de până la 32% la produsele pe care ți le-ai pus pe listă. Gustă din trăirile românești și încearcă la doar 7,49 lei fursecurile cu stafide din cămara noastră. Înscrie-te în concurs și poți câștiga o experiență pentru familie cu plimbări și mese copioase în satul Meschendorf sau vouchere de cumpărături. Dacă preferi atmosfera incendiară a verii, descoperă surprizele de festival. Pentru cumpărături de minimum 50 de lei, cu Lidl Plus poți câștiga experiențe de neuitat la Electric Castle. Asta e vara, modă, soare și raze de culoare. Așa că pune în bagajul tău estival și un poncho pentru cei mici. E doar 29,99 lei bucata. În geanta spațioasă cu pernă pentru cap o să încapă și prosopul și salteaua de plajă la doar 34,99 lei. Pregătește-te de o vară de festival și good vibes only! Alege setul de pensule cosmetice cu etui de 29,99 lei sau buretele de aplicare pentru un machiaj instagramabil de strălucitor și o garderobă de in ca să te poți mișca în voie pe ritmurile tale preferate. Pantalonii bărbătești sunt doar 49,99 lei, iar rochia de damă 54,99 lei. Ai de ales dintre mai multe modele care îți vor veni perfect și e ușor să fii în formă atunci când iei ceva din piață. Ai zucchini la doar 6,99 lei kilogramul cu reducere de 30%. E sănătoasă și hidratantă salata de zucchini, dar ce-ar merge un grătar? Da, zucchini la grătar, alături de un mix grill de pui condimentat la doar 1,99 lei 100 de grame dacă scanezi cardul din aplicația Lidl Plus. Totul ambalat pentru prospețime. Iar de joi, vești bune! Ai reduceri chiar și de 47% la tot felul de bunătăți cu care să-ți faci mai gustos sfârșitul de săptămână. Chiar și prietenul tău blănos o să se bucure de hrană premium umedă pentru pisici la 0,99 lei. Și avem și food news in American style. Relaxează-te cu bucățele de pui pane la doar 9,99 lei în așteptarea super weekendului, care îți aduce în magazine migdale de California cu o reducere de 40%. Oferta este supusă unor termene și condiții. Răsfoiește catalogul pe Lidl.ro sau în aplicația Lidl Plus și bucură-te cu totul de prețul Lidl. Lidl. Meriți să fii surprins.
Let me show you how we do stuff around here. Actually, my department uses Monday.com, so I'm good. A work management tool? No, that's not for me. Well, Monday.com is all about flexibility, so you can make it your own. You could choose pre-built layouts for anything or build your own workflow. You just open a board, you choose the columns you need, you can move them around or filter by what's most important for you. That way you're not always chasing your work, you perfect your process. I gotta show this to Ted. Hey, Ted! He's remote until Wednesday. No problem. We just tag Ted on Monday, write an update, and there you go. Okay, so how do I use it? You just go to Monday.com and you can see all your work, you can get a broad view of everything you do, or celebrate a small win. It's actually kind of fun. Okay, so how does one sign up? I'm just asking for Ted. Just go to Monday.com and start your free trial today.
I'm going to go ahead and literally crush it with Airbnb as well. And this is a build that I've never done before. We've got Next.js, Tailwind, Versal. I'm actually teaching you how to use Mapbox with normal React. Crazy stuff. Go ahead and sign up before all the spots get taken. And guys, I've actually gone ahead and created an actual book. Yes, an actual book for you all to go ahead and get. So sign up for that challenge. You'll get a free book worth 50 quid. It's going to be sick. There's tons of prizes available. First link in the description, guys, you know what to do. And again, as always, if this is too hard for you, second link in the description is to go ahead and get free access to my Skillshare 101 Basics React class. So, you know, loads of you have been taking advantage of that. Keep doing what you're doing, guys. Keep enjoying the free value I'm giving you. And as always, you know, that's it. Keep supporting the Papa Fam. Without this, it wouldn't be possible. Let's carry on breaking this down. Uber clone, React Native. We're also going to be using Tailwind CSS. Now, a lot of you are wondering, how the hell is he using Tailwind CSS in React Native? So I'm going to show you how to do that today. And most jobs nowadays require something called Redux. So we're going to be doing Redux as part of this React Native app. We're also going to be using a really cool sort of kind of like how we implemented, you know, Material UI back in the day. We're actually going to be using React Native elements. All right, so hopefully you guys enjoy that part of it. So we've got React Native elements actually kicking off as well today. We just hit over 500 concurrent viewers. That's sick. That is actually sick. All right, wow. This is crazy, guys. React Native elements as well. We're going to have tons more included in this build. So there's actually React Navigation. So that's pretty much React Navigation is how we go, you know, back and forward between all these different screens, right? we have so much to look forward to, right? All the hooks, all the practice, every single thing that you need to go ahead and get working, you're going to learn how to do. We actually got React Native maps as well. So this is iOS and Android maps. You're going to learn how to incorporate this right here today. So there's tons of stuff. I've never done this before in a build. I wanted to push the boundaries. I wanted to keep on getting more and more higher in what we do, but keep it available so that you beginners out there can still keep along with what I'm doing. Almost knocked over my water. Damn. Get your water ready, get your coffee ready. Let's jump into the build. If you're hyped, guys, let me know. I can see the comments going crazy right now. And everyone's asking, oh, what are we going to do it with? What are we going to do with Expo? What are we going to do with React Native? We're using Expo today. The reason why I'm using Expo is because one, you should be using it because it's sick, right? And also two, if you have an iPhone or if you have an Android, you can literally use this as your test device to go ahead and develop to. So remember, today we're building an app which is going to work on your phone. Hell of a lot of power right there, all right? So we've got loads of people getting ready for this. Let's go ahead and jump in, guys. Awesome, awesome stuff. I'm going to shout a few of you out. We've got Guerrero Gerard. He goes, I'm happiest to see you back. Amazing stuff. Arjun Joshi in the house. Aldo's back. What's up, man? We've got Luke in the house. We've got Shops Rise. What's up, man? We've got Samira, Code Uni, Ibrahim, Mohib, Pranav, Johnson. That's it, guys. I love you guys. I appreciate all of you. 600 likes. Sickest way to ever start a live stream. I'm gonna go ahead and jump into this right now. Okay, let's go ahead and kill it, guys. So excited for today's build. Right, let's go ahead and get ready for this. Right, so first thing you want to do is sign up to that challenge. Right, first link in the description. Sign up to that challenge and comment right now if you are signed up. Just say to me, no, I'm signed up. And I just saw Christian Vargas actually took the Skillshare offer right now. So again, like I mentioned before, second link in the description to grab that. It's gonna be sick. All right, I've got so much stuff coming for you guys. I got free books, ebooks, all sorts of crazy stuff. 600 likes, boom. All right, whoa, we got Oscar, Worthy, Sudi. And guys, you know what, I just have to tell you before we start, I even have a 12-hour Next.js tutorial coming. We actually have all the Netflix, Amazon builds, everything being compiled into each videos of their own. So everything is going to be available for completely free for you guys to go ahead and crush it and become a developer and kill it in your life. Okay, so next Tuesday is a place to be. Let's go ahead and jump into today's build. Let's do this, Papa Fam. First thing we want to do is set up the development environment. Okay, so today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be using Expo, right? So React Native is essentially it's a very handy kind of library, let's call it. And it's essentially going to use React, so the React that we all know and love. So again, if you don't know React, HTML, CSS, JavaScript should be your fundamentals. And then you just go ahead and like circle it around or layer it up with React to build really cool web apps. Once you know, kind of a basis of React, you can move over to React Native fairly easy, like you're going to see today. Okay, so it's going to be a hell of a lot of a nice transition for a lot of you, because I know a lot of you haven't actually done this before. So I'm hoping to go ahead and help you guys out today. So we're going to set up the development environment. Now the first thing you want to do is make sure you go to React Native, and on the left side you should see environment setup. Click setting up the development environment. Down here, you want to go ahead and do npm install -g expo CLI in your terminal. Now, you're most likely going to have to do sudo npm install -g. I've already done this step, so I'm going to skip this. What this does, guys, is it goes ahead and actually sets this up so it installs the Expo CLI globally to your machine. That means you can start using the Expo commands in your terminal, right? And we're going to need that because here we start using it. Okay. Now, just a hint, when you do this, do sudo. But also after it's installed, close and reopen your terminal, because sometimes it just takes a little bit of a kickstart to go ahead and get started. Okay. Nice, guys. We just got a nice donation. I can't actually see where. Oh, we've got Vishal. Thank you so much, dude. Appreciate you. Nice. This is sick. Right. Let's go ahead and let's keep moving. This is awesome, guys. And I've actually got I'm slowly upgrading this up, so we're going to get smoother and smoother every time. So the first thing we want to do is Expo init awesome project. So I'm going to open up a terminal. You guys can feel free to code along with me today. Let's carry on, guys. We're going to open up this terminal. And once this loads up, we're going to go ahead and say, I'm going to go into I've actually got a nice documents builds for it. I like to keep my stuff neat, right? You don't have to, I like to. I think you should always have it available at hand. Always helps out. Right. So with that said, my life is going to completely change with this. That's awesome. Right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and type in Expo init, right? And we're going to give a name for the app. So you can see it says Expo init awesome project here. So I'm going to say Expo init, and we're going to say Uber clone, and I'm going to say YT for YouTube. I'm going to hit enter, right? Now what this will do is it will go ahead and initialize an Expo app into our onto our computer. So I actually need to upgrade my Expo CLI. So it's okay. You know, you can run that command. It's easy to do. But you're going to get this option, manage workflow or bare workflow. Now, I am going to be introducing TypeScript on the channel. Not today, but I will be introducing TypeScript on the channel. But here, what we want to do is if you can go ahead and hit the blank, right? So blank is where we want to start with. And that's going to have a managed blank workflow, which means it's going to be in the Expo ecosystem. Expo is really good for many reasons. It allows you to easily test, you know, on your phone, on Android. Before, if you had, you know, if you wanted to develop for iOS, you couldn't actually do it easily unless you had a Mac. In fact, you couldn't do it. You needed to have Xcode. So now with Expo, you can actually do this. Provided you have an iPhone, you can just scan a QR code, loads up on your phone. And again, another really nice thing about Expo is when you're installing dependencies, makes it so much easier. So I see a lot of you saying, you know, React Native CLI. I've worked with React Native for a couple of years. Trust me, use Expo until you need to do React Native CLI stuff. Trust me, it works. And it works for a reason, okay? Nearly 700 likes. Wow. That's insane, guys. That is crazy. Thank you so much. Right, so we're installing the JavaScript dependencies right here. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to run a quick Google search because I'm going to show you guys how, you know, if you were doing this from the basics and the get-go, imagine wanting to go ahead and introduce, let's just say, the Redux toolkit into your application, right? So we're actually going to be using the Redux toolkit today, and you can go ahead, click get started here, and this is where we would go ahead and, you know, look through some instructions. We would install the Redux toolkit into our app. And then it would show us, you know, how to go ahead and install this. Now I'm going to, if you want to read into it a bit more, you can look here. Oh, another donation. Ash Malviva. Thank you so much, dude. Appreciate you. So yeah, this makes Redux easy, right? Using the Redux toolkit. So I'm going to show you guys how to do all of that in extremely simple ways, right? So hopefully this doesn't take too long, but we're going to go ahead and in the meantime, there we go. CD Uber clone. Your project is ready. Hurry. So now we're going to go ahead and go into our project. So CD Uber clone YouTube. There we go. And in here, what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to go ahead and hit. So once we're in our project, I'm going to do code dot. And this will open up our code editor with that project folder sort of structure already intact. Okay. Now, what I'm also going to do is I'm actually going to probably, we leave that. That's all right. It's all good. Okay. So what I'm going to do here is pop this open like so. And then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to kill the old app, right? I'm going to kill the old app right now because we're going to start from scratch, right? So I'm stopping my old server. I'm going to close this, get my environment set up. And NS says, hey bro, you're the best from Kosovo. Nice, dude. That's awesome. 10 years old. We got a viewer 10 years old. Oh my God. 700 likes. Boom. Let's go, guys. Keep going. 800. I think we can do it. We got 600 people watching right now. That is sick. That is huge. That's the biggest I've ever had. Thank you, guys. So we're going to go to app.js. This is the starting point for a React Native app. Okay. You know, we're used to app.js. This is like a starting point for many apps. And you can see a few differences here. First thing, we've got view instead of divs. That's the first thing that you should get recognized with, right? You have a view instead of divs in React Native. And this is because, think about it, when we're sort of, you know, coding up for React and all that stuff, it's a div, which is a HTML element on a page. Now we're coding for phones and, you know, iOS and Android, which means we have to take a slightly different approach. The really nice thing about React Native is we have these view components. When we use a view component, it goes ahead and when we build the app, that view component will get compiled, let's call it, into an iOS component. Oh, another one. Thank you so much, Ifosa. Appreciate you, dude. He goes, this is going to be sleek. Please consider rebuilding Netflix. And oh, I will do that actually. Right. But when you have a view component, it will go ahead and compile down into an iOS app and also an Android app version. Okay. So as in, an iOS component and a Android component that will resemble and act like a div. Let's think of it like that. Okay. So that's how you can, in simple terms, put it. So how do we actually run this thing? right? Second thing you want to notice before I mention that, it's not class names, it's style. So that's a quick switch. And also here we have styles.container, and this is how we basically go ahead and write our CSS like styles. Okay, so these are JSX or style properties. So what I'm going to do instead here, and we're going to be using a mixture of Tailwind CSS and normal style sheet style properties here. So I'm going to show you how to incorporate Tailwind because we love Tailwind. Let's be real, it's so sick. All right, and I'm actually going to go ahead and get into a coding vibe here. There we go, we've got our colors back. All right, so I'm going to show you how to do all this. So Command J, and let's go ahead and do. Thank you so much. You're doing amazing work, Sunny. Keep it up. Thank you, Hashit. We're going to do Expo Start. So this is how you actually kickstart your app. Okay. So I'm going to hit Expo Start and let's watch this kickstart the application. So what this will do is this will actually kickstart and open up localhost 1902. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and actually open this up on our browser right now. And let's go ahead and pop this over here. And it's opening up Chrome for me. God damn it. I don't want Chrome. All right. I'm going to close my Chrome because Chrome.
Cei mai buni nutrienți pentru cea mai bună viață a sa. Știința a făcut asta.
Promoțiile încep la Jisc cu oferte fantastice. Prosop la numai 12,5 lei, reducere de 58%. Sau ramă foto la numai 5,5 lei, reducere de 70%. Jisc, Scandinavian Sleeping and Living.
Chrome is going to kill me today if we keep up with Chrome. So you can see it already. As soon as I open up Chrome, already does damage. There we go. Chrome is out of here, especially when I'm live streaming. Hell no. Not letting Chrome through the door. Right. So localhost, there we go. So now you can see we get this screen, a Metro bundler. Now, what is a Metro bundler and what the hell does it do? Right. A Metro bundler is because remember we have that compile step where like those Vue components get compiled down into like the iOS component, the Android component. We need something called a bundler. Right? The bundler runs by itself. It's very simple to do. We just do Expo Start and it handles the rest of it. But this is the screen that we now have access to, right? So the first thing you can do is grab your phone and scan that QR code, right? So obviously you can't scan mine because it's local right now, unless you went ahead and changed this to tunnel. But you can actually scan that with the Expo Go app. You can actually go ahead and run your local code environment on your phone, provided you're using the same Wi-Fi network. So that's sick, and I would highly recommend that all of you do that. Okay, so definitely recommend that, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. Okay, so let's go ahead and carry on. So we're here. We're gonna go click on Run on iOS Simulator. Now, if I'm using iOS Simulator, again, this is actually preference based. So we're not gonna do the web browser. We're gonna do either Android or iOS. Now, like I mentioned before, iOS is gonna require Xcode. Right, so you need to download Xcode and then you literally have a iOS simulator available. Android requires Android Studio, but again, if you find that so slow, I always get the comments, you know, it's so slow, I hate that, or it's clunky or whatever. You can just use the QR code with a real device. Okay, so whatever works for you, you do that. But I'm going to click Run on iOS, and you see it says attempting to open in a simulator. Now you do need to have your simulator open. So in this case, you see I've disconnected. So I'm actually going to go ahead and go to my home screen here. Let's actually go ahead and restart my little phone. So how do I, oh damn it, I can't click it. All right, so what I'm actually gonna do here is you see it says opening on iPhone 12 Pro Max, right? So what I'm actually gonna do here is move my phone over to my coding screen, drag this a little bit more, put this over there so I get a nice little neat setup. And can you see where we also ran it in the Expo Start in the terminal? You can see it also comes up here. That QR code also pops up here, and we also have options here. So the way I would recommend to run everything from now on is whenever you console log inside of a React Native app, it comes up in your terminal here, as opposed to your browser, right? Whereas, you know, we're used to browser and React and all that stuff. So I'd recommend this. But what we're actually going to be doing here is if you type in I, so I'm going to hit I, it says opening on iOS. And if you ever need these commands, by the way, you can just hit question mark and it will open up as you need it to. In fact, this is actually being a bit slow right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to force it to kind of restart itself. So if I do R, see it says reloading apps, and that'll kind of force it to kickstart. And it says new update available, building JavaScript bundle. So you can see down here, it's actually sort of compiling the app. Now, the first time you build it, it will take a little bit of time, but after that, it will be a lot quicker, right? So this will take a little bit of a hit on your machine or computer when it's first doing the bundle process. After it's done, it's pretty relatively smooth and it's not so bad. Okay, so we shouldn't have an issue once that's bundled up. And you can see even down here, we get a progress report. Everything works. Don't be afraid of React Native. That'll be my, my main piece of advice. Don't be afraid of, React Native and it's slowing my machine down. It is hard, and it's not. You just need to break it down and we'll make it simple, okay? So there you go. Running application, finished building, blah, blah, blah. And it says open up app.js to start working on your app. Hooray, we made it. Okay, this is our first starting point. So I'm gonna do Command J to hide my terminal, Command B to hide the sidebar, and this is where we start. So I'm gonna go ahead and say, let's build Uber, right? Hit save, and you see we have fast refresh. Fast refresh is actually in Next.js, so it's really nice sort of, coding experience as we do it. Whoa, Frank, what's up with the $20 donation? He goes, let's go, Sonny. This will be an awesome React Native build. Thank you so much, Frank, for tuning in. Appreciate you. $20 US. Appreciate you, man. Always coming in clutch. That is hype me up. We just hit 800 likes as well. I can't believe it. 20 minutes in, we're already at 800 likes, already at 20 quid on the chat donations. 600 people are watching this right now. You guys are sick. If you are watching and you haven't already, please smash that thumbs up button and hit the subscribe button, because there's like 50% of you who are watching right now who aren't subscribed. It helps the channel grow massively, helps me continue to do this full time. So hit the subscribe button, and remember, subscribe to that, subscribe and sign up to the challenge. It's going to be massive. Okay, it's going to be huge. And I'll keep bringing the value, I promise. Right? So let's carry on. So you can see instead of a H1, we now have the text, and status bar is actually referring to this at the top. So right now we don't actually care about status bar, so I'm going to get rid of that. The reason why it's centered is we have this container, and you can see it's got flex one, background, color, align items, justify content. Now, quick rule of thumb, right? When you are doing work with React Native, typically, we are used to having Flexbox default to a row. Very important point here. When you are using React Native, Flexbox defaults to a column. Because think about it, you're on a phone. It doesn't make sense to always have it in a row, so Flexbox defaults to a column. Remember that, and I'll keep on saying it over and over again throughout the build. Flexbox defaults to a column. Everything about our app is using Flexbox and how it styles itself, gets designed. So it uses a column-based approach, right? So that's how we do it. All right, let's do this, guys. Let's build some Uber. So the first thing I want to do is I'm actually going to go ahead and set up a Redux. Okay, so the first step is we're going to set up Redux. So let's actually step this out. So set up Redux. That's number one. Second step we'll do is we'll go ahead and set up something like, let's just do Redux, and we'll just handle it at each at its own point, right? So the first thing I want to do with Redux is actually go ahead and, like I mentioned before, like I'm going to show you completely transparently how you can go ahead and do it if you were starting this out. So you would type in something like Redux Toolkit, you want to go ahead and use the Redux Toolkit. It's a pretty good option for me. I would say it's the most simple way to use Redux in your app. And here you can see this is what you would typically be doing if you're using, create React app. We're not doing that. We're just using an existing app. So we're going to go ahead and do yarn add Redux.js toolkit. Now, you might see that I'm using yarn. You can check what you're using based on your lock file. If you see package lock, then you're using npm. If you're using yarn, it's yarn lock. It doesn't matter if you want to switch, you can switch, just delete the other lock file first. I don't have two, right? Karthik says, I love how Sunny breaks stuff with comments. Thank you so much, dude. Appreciate that. Right, so I'm going to go ahead and install this right now. So I'm going to hit the plus button to have a second terminal. So you see a second terminal, and we're going to wait for that to come in and load itself. Right, and then here I'm going to go ahead and say yarn add Redux.js toolkit. Go ahead and hit enter on that. Right, and this will go ahead and install Redux toolkit into our application. Right, so let's keep on moving, guys. Wow, oh my god. What? Harry Collins just dropped a £75 donation. What the hell, dude? Thank you so much. That's huge. That means we just hit £100 on chat revenue at like 25 minutes. Guys, I'm sorry if I keep interrupting, but that is crazy. £75. Thank you so much, Harry Collins, man. Appreciate you, dude. And then Jeremias also dropped a lovely 75. I'm not sure what currency, but that's huge as well, man. That's sick. Thank you so much, man. And yes, we will be using both in the future. But yeah, that's crazy. Wow. Wow, that's crazy. I'm gonna keep bringing React Native, guys. You guys are loving it. Right, so we've got let's build Uber. All right, we just went ahead and installed React Native, right? So I'm sorry, Redux Toolkit. So the next step that we want to do is actually go ahead and actually set up something called a provider. Right, so this is our entire app. This is the high level kind of overview, the entry point of our app. What you actually want to do at this point is have something called a provider. Right, so a provider is basically a wrapper which injects our app or sort of levels our app up so that way we have Redux inside of it. So we import it from React Redux like so, right? And actually, you know what? I might need to actually install this. I don't think I did. So we're actually going to have to do add this as well. So we're going to do yarn add, and I'm actually going to go ahead and say React Redux as well. Okay, and then we can go ahead and install that as well. So yarn add React Redux. Wait for that to go ahead and load in. Today's all about patience. Okay, it's all about patience. And in fact, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to quickly make a little tweak to my environment. 1 second. Doosh, doosh, doosh. But yeah, all about patience today, guys. Do not, freak out if things aren't making sense. Don't worry if it's kind of, getting scary or anything like that. Just take your time, and everything will make sense as we continue with today's build. Okay. Okay. Let's keep going. All right. So once you've got that, we're going to go ahead and import provider from React Redux. Now I just went ahead and restarted my VS Code. So I'm actually going to have to do expo start again on my first terminal. And I will open up my second terminal on the side. Okay. Let's keep it going. And once we've got everything running, it will be smooth. Right now, we just get a bit of hiccups while, everything gets, up and running. It takes a little bit of time in the initial get-go. Otherwise, it's all good. Oh God, it's going to try and open Chrome again. All right, brace yourselves, guys. So Rahul, in the meantime, Rahul says, is this for React Native newbies? Yes. Don't worry if you're absolutely new to React. This is going to be awesome for you. Just go ahead and, like I said, break it down. I'm going to take my time with today's build so that way you guys, don't freak out and everything sort of makes sense for you. I'm going to click open on iOS again, and this should be good to go. All right, nice. So now we can breathe. We can relax a little bit. My sort of something's taking up my CPU a little bit, but again, should be all right once we get started. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead, and we've already got the Redux.js toolkit. So the next step naturally is going to be to go ahead and wrap our entire app. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and wrap the app with a provider. Oops, provider. Like so. Okay. Now with this, we're going to go ahead and say, and also guys, I want to mention all the code is actually going to be available in the Papa GitHub repo, which is in the description. So make sure you go ahead and check that one out. Okay. If you want all the access to today's build. So you want to grab the rest of your app and actually throw it up there like so. All right. So this is the first step. Now, this is not all you need to do for React. You need to do a little bit more. You can see here, it says undefined is not an object. It's starting to freak out already, right? This is because when you use React, you need something called a store. Now, when you use Redux, you need something called a store. Now, all Redux is, right, is it's essentially a data layer for your app. So imagine if I'm in any component inside my application and I want to share data amongst them, I introduce a data layer which surrounds my entire app, and then I can go ahead and push data in, push information into the data layer whenever I need, and I can go ahead and pull data whenever I need as well. So that's going to help us out.
Noul Borotalco Original. Noul Borotalco Original. Uită de transpirație. Îmbrățișează viața.
Now again, we're going to be using that. That's Redux today. What is happening? David Blumen just says, looking forward to Tailwind. Interested to see what library you use. Make sure you take that water break. £20 donut. Guys, I'm speechless. I have no idea what is happening today, but thank you so much, dude. Wow. I'm going to have some sushi tonight. I'm going to call Mabon and we're going to have some sushi. That's insane, guys. Thank you so much, dude. Appreciate that. That's huge. All right, and we just hit 900 likes. Wow, I'm just going to keep the fire coming, guys. Damn. So we need a store, right? And this is basically how we set up that global layer, that data layer, right? So let's do this. Oh my god, another one. What? Corey, $20 donation. Keep it up, brother. Thanks again. What is happening? This is crazy, guys. Thank you so much. Oh my god. I'm sorry if if you're watching this as a replay, you can feel free to skip this part. It's all good. But I can't not shout you guys out. That's insane. Appreciate you so damn much. God damn. Thank you guys. Wow. That's insane. Right, so we're gonna go ahead and create a store right now, okay? So to create a store, all you need to do is go ahead and do store.js. Right, and this is pretty much where our store or that data layer is gonna live. Now, if you're wondering where the hell did he get this code from? Like I said, it's on the actual documentation for the website for Redux, and when you're looking through that stuff. So I'm just breaking it down to make it extremely simple for you today, okay? So what I'm actually gonna do, I'm gonna copy in some of the configuration, right? So you can go ahead, pause it, and actually copy this out. The first line is configure store. This is something we take from the Redux toolkit, and it actually allows us to set up that data layer that I talked about. The second one is called a nav reducer. Now you're going to notice inside of a folder, and it's called the nav slice. Now remember I talked about the data layer, right? We can actually separate the data layer into different areas. Now we're going to have one primary layer in today's build where we're going to store information, and that's going to be called the navigation slice. As you can imagine, this is where the user is going to store their navigation information. What is the origin? Where is the destination? And and then we can basically pull that information wherever we need it inside of our app, right? Wherever component we're inside of, I can go ahead and pull it as necessary. Area. And then what you do is you have something called a reducer setting up the store, right? That global layer, and you basically connect it to your navigation slice. So don't worry if that doesn't make sense. I will explain it and we'll go through it in a second. So I'm going to go ahead and create that navigation slice right now. Okay, so I'm going to go and create a folder called slices. Once again, it looks like I'm grabbing this out of thin air, but this is actually simply from the Redux documentation. So if you do want to go ahead and read it, I would recommend you read it as well, and it's going to help you out. Right, so I'm going to go to slices, and I'm actually going to create a file inside called nav slice, and this is going to be responsible for everything that is inside of the navigation slice. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and set that up. So inside of nav slice, we're going to go ahead and import something called create slice. Okay, now there is a very nice example from the Redux sort of website. So if we go to tutorials overview or quick start, I think it is, they've got a really nice sort of, you see, this is where I got the initial code base from. And the second one that we need, you see, you pass in the store and do all that stuff. This is the one that you can pretty much copy. So it's called a counter slice, right? And you can go ahead and grab this if you want to get started. But I'm actually got this thing set up already, so I'm going to show you how we do it. Now, what we first need to do is define what the initial sort of state of the data layer should look like. So we're going to have three primary pieces of information. We're going to have something called the origin, which, as you can imagine, is point A. This is like, you know, where are you? No, yeah, where are you right now? Pretty much, you know, the first question you ask when you go on Uber, where are you right now? Oh, I'm over in London.
Hello there guys, and welcome back to another video here on the channel. Now today, continuing what we started about 2 weeks ago, we're going to be taking a look at the post-reset Longhorn builds, and this is going to be the end of the sort of little mini-series that we started. And I feel like I say that a lot because I do start, you know, mini-series from time to time here on the channel, but this one is just a two-part series. However, they're pretty long videos. This one's probably going to be pretty long as well. If you didn't see that video, I'll have it on screen right now, as well as down below in the video description. But essentially what we did is we took a look at the pre-reset Microsoft Longhorn builds, essentially before Microsoft reset Windows Vista's development. And if you don't really know what I'm talking about, I go over the whole process in that video. So if you don't really know what's going on, I would recommend going to check out that video. Again, the link's going to be down below. But today we're going to be starting off. I have selected 4 post-reset Windows Longhorn builds, and this is going to be kind of slowly forming itself into Windows Vista, you know, the final release of Windows Vista that was released in 2006. And these builds are after that 2004 reset. So again, as I said before in that previous video, Windows Vista really only had a major, I guess, development cycle of about 2 years, because everything else that they had developed before, they didn't really keep that that much of it. They kept a few things. You'll see in this build that we are about to take a look at here. They've kept a few things, but the majority of the stuff was being phased out and just completely gone entirely. So this build 5048, this was released around 2005. It has a BIOS date of April 2nd, 2005. So it was released around that time, and we're going to just start it up here, and I'm going to show you guys what has changed in this build. There's going to be some major changes, from the last build, which was I think 4093. And in 4093, if you don't really, and kind of the pause to what I'm saying, you'll see that it has the same Longhorn boot screen as it had before. So that's one of the things that hasn't really changed. But, anyways, as I was saying, 4093, they kind of took everything that they were working on up to that point, whether it was finished or not, and they put it into that final build, because really it wasn't going to see the the light of day any other way, pretty much. So they just said, okay, we're just going to take all the features we have, even if they're not finished or partially working, we're going to throw it into this build. And that's pretty much what it was. It was the last Longhorn build before Microsoft reset Windows Vista's development. So you may have briefly noticed there that it had the Windows XP classic little logon box, and I'll show you that again. But essentially what they did to kind of reset development is they actually went back to their base source code, and the pre-reset builds, I believe they were based on Windows Server 2003. There was some people saying it was based on XP, but however, there was a few other people saying that it was based on an early version of Server 2003 code. So it's based on one of those, and all the post-reset builds used a later version of Server 2003 as a code base. I believe Microsoft released like Service Pack 2 of Server 2003, and then this is what that is based on as a foundation, and that's what Windows Vista obviously is based on as well. Now you'll see that it closely, this looks more like Windows XP than I think even the first early Longhorn build that we took a look at in the previous video. The very first build that I looked at, it had similarities to XP, but then it had some very major changes. And this, you're going to see pretty much like it has a similar theme. I mean, the theme is different. However, it is like looking like it is Windows XP with a different theme just at first glance here. You'll see that they've kept some of the icons. So this is the Windows Vista, or it looks very similar to the final recycle bin icon in Windows Vista. But some other things like these here have not changed. Also of note is a newer wallpaper here. This does look familiar. I'm thinking this may actually be from Windows Server 2003. I mean, I might go on a limb to say that, but I have seen this very wallpaper somewhere before. It's not in this, like it wasn't in this build. I don't think it's in Windows Vista, so it might be from Server 2003. I really don't know. So we're just going to take a look at WinVer here, and I'll show you that this is a version 6.0, NT 6.0. I guess this has changed actually, this banner. I don't think we had that previously. So one of the major overhauls is well, not really a major overhaul, but one of the things they did change is the Windows Start menu here. Now Windows XP, I'm sure we all know what the Windows XP Start menu looks like. Here is kind of when they started to experiment with some new things and kind of making it look more like the Vista Start menu. In the previous build, if you don't remember, the Start menu looked almost identical to Windows XP, so they kind of went back to that. But here you'll notice that we have a experimental search function here, and Windows Vista obviously had a final version of this. However, this one doesn't really work very well. One of the things because I used to use Windows Vista on one of my older machines, one one of the things that I would use this for is kind of like a run box, pretty much. Like if I wanted to quickly get to CMD, for example, I just open the start menu, type CMD and press enter, and I'd launch CMD, just kind of faster than pressing Windows key R and then typing in CMD and everything. It was just faster and more convenient. This doesn't really do that, and actually doesn't really search things very well either. So as you just saw, if I type CMD, it doesn't even show anything here. And when I typed in C, like it just doesn't really work. If I search for, let's say, my, see, I search the word my, and it comes up with all these other random things that don't have the word my in them. So yeah, it doesn't really work very well. You'll see we kind of have some evidence of Windows Explorer up here for some reason. We can sort them by size and stuff. That doesn't work either. So they were kind of experimenting with that. A sort of unified search thing. And we had not, there was no other version of Windows that had that, at least built into the start menu. There was obviously the search program, like right here. And I don't think this works. Like, this is completely broken in this build too. Yeah, you see it doesn't work at all. One of the other things to note, I probably should open up a Windows Explorer window for this. They've slightly changed the way that Windows Explorer looks. However, what I wanted to pay notice to is this up here. There's another search box. This one doesn't work either. We'll search my. It gives us an error or like an error sound, and there's nothing. So yeah, they were kind of getting the search thing in place. Windows Vista did have this, and I use this feature because this is obviously still on Windows 10. I use this feature all the time. It's very convenient for like finding files in like large folders or folders with a lot of files. Or you can index your entire C drive, and that's what I use it for sometimes if I want to find a certain file. Okay, so we are back. We were having a bunch of technical difficulties yesterday. First of all, Camtasia Studio decided to crash, and it cut off it didn't even give me any warning, and it cut off like 10 minutes of like what I was saying. So I had to kind of redo that, and I used Open Broadcaster, and then Open Broadcaster crashed. So this is basically my third take of doing kind of the same thing. So, but I'm going to try to, like spend like as much time doing it as I was before. But I'm using Camtasia Studio, but I'm going to be keeping an eye on it. So if it suddenly stops making the video, then I'll know why. But it's just been acting weird lately. But it cut me off, I think, when I was talking about the search function. Like this search box down here and the search box in Windows Explorer. I was kind of talking about that. And then what I was going on to is one of the new features, or like Microsoft redid the Windows control panel in this build. And you can see here, this is the new category view. And what they've done here is essentially try to make it look more I wouldn't say make it look more like Windows Vista, because Windows Vista obviously wasn't out yet, but they're kind of moving towards the Windows Vista simplified design. Now, if you remember what Windows Vista control panel looks like, it looks pretty similar to this. This isn't the final like design, obviously, but it looks pretty similar. It's got different categories. They're arranged in this way, and you have like sub options here. So it'll be like, okay, you want appearance and theme, and you can say that, well, if I want to change like my screensaver, well, I can just click this one option right here, instead of having to go into the actual setting and then looking around for screensavers in here, which isn't really that much of a hassle. But they've just done this to kind of find or to kind of make the most commonly used options more easily accessible by users, and that's kind of what they've done here. We also have these side options here, and I think they're pretty much the same categories as up here. We see appearance and themes, and then appearance and themes on the left here, so we have like the same categories. And then we have other control panel options, and these are just the ones that they don't really have sorted yet. And then we also have this classic view. Now they've kind of redone this as well now, and I'll just kind of show you what I mean here. The classic view has also kind of been moved into separate categories. This was not kept in the final release of Windows Vista. They did not keep this final build, I guess, or this final design. It was just because the classic view in Vista is pretty much just like a list of all of the settings or of all the different options. Here they've kind of tried to make them into their own categories, but some of them are kind of useless because we see these three up here, they're categories and they're the same name as the actual setting. Well, not for this one, but see, we have add or remove programs, and then the program name is add or remove program, so it's kind of like a useless category. But you'll see that 21 of them down here are not, they're unspecified, so they're not really I guess they haven't found or they haven't arranged those into specific categories yet. And one thing of note here is there is this new setting called OS and application updates. Now, if you remember in the final build of Windows Vista, Windows updates are actually done through the control panel instead of being done through Internet Explorer like they are in Windows XP. And I think that Microsoft moved to that to kind of make getting updates easier for most people that were kind of confused, I guess, when you would click a Windows update from the start menu and it would open up your web browser. I guess they kind of wanted to make it more simple and make it like an actual program stored locally on the actual computer. And this is them kind of starting to do that. The program is not really finished at all. It has this very
Last night, a Jedi was murdered.
She was my student. Let me bring her in.
This is only a small part of a larger plan.
The Acolyte. Disponibil acum.
Generic icon. For some reason it moved over here, and you can see we don't have any options in here either. We do, however, have these 4 headings up here where we can see that this would be just like Windows Update is. We see we have what update it is, what program it's for, who it was made by, and when it was installed on. Obviously there weren't any Windows updates made for this specific build of Longhorn, but there it is. And we see we have a few other things that are using this same icon, so I'm just not really sure why they... I guess they just didn't really have an icon made for it. And it's also called OS and Application Updates instead of Windows Updates, so I guess they were kind of trying to change the name there very briefly. Of course, that was not final as well. System, we go in here, you see we have Microsoft Windows codename Longhorn version 2003. So you can see that even though this is a 2004, this is a 2004 build, however it's saying it's 2003. And I don't think Microsoft or Windows was a registered trademark prior to this, but that's just a small note. And also one of the experimental features in this build of Longhorn, there is actually a experimental version of Arrow. Arrow animations, the desktop window manager, actually, I should say. If you're not familiar with the desktop window manager, essentially it's the under the hood program that runs in the background of even Windows 10 today, but in back in Vista and 7, it was the program that would allow the desktop animations, when you would maximize and minimize windows, it would do that a nice little animation. And obviously Arrow glass transparency, that is the program or the under the hood program that would allow that to happen. And if you kill that process at any time, it's going to stop and it's going to go back to the Windows Classic theme. There is an experimental version of DWM, or the desktop window manager, in this build of Longhorn, and we can actually get it working using this command that I'm going to run here. So there we go. And you can see that it actually is kind of transparent here. I had to reinstall the actual VM because it wasn't really working right, but you'll notice that, yeah, we have a sort of Arrow glass transparency here. Now, some of the animations, there is supposed to be, when you minimize and maximize the window, there is supposed to be a nice little animation, and I got it to work at one point. It's not working anymore for some reason. See if I open up, yeah, see, it's not working. It just like slowly renders the window. And I tried increasing the RAM size from 1 to 2 gigs, and that didn't do anything. So I think it's just very buggy, but you can kind of see here that we do have a sense of glass transparency here, which this actually wasn't working before. I'm going to be totally honest. It wasn't transparent at all before. So yeah, this is kind of what, I mean, again, it's really buggy. It doesn't work at all. Well, I mean, it obviously kind of works, but it's like highly unstable, I should say. So this is obviously a feature that you weren't really meant to use, but it does, you know, function in a sense. So yeah, you can kind of see here, like if I put this window on top of the text here, you can kind of see that string from the CMD through there, you know. So yeah, that's basically all that it is. It doesn't do anything to the start menu or to the taskbar. It's only really Windows that it actually changes. We'll open up Internet Explorer here. Actually, we won't. We'll open up another Explorer window here. And yeah, it sucks it's not doing that, like minimize and maximize animation, because it's actually pretty cool. And it's not like anything that you would see in Vista. It's, you know, completely different. So I'm not really sure why that's not doing that. But that is probably a bug, and it's probably because I'm making this video, because everything seems to break on video. But yeah, that is essentially it for this build 5048. Again, I'm not trying to spend so much time on these builds, but I always tend to, because they're just always, and you know, I've spent like a day, because this is like the next day, because of the amount of time that I've had to, like, with like all these technical issues and stuff. But we're just going to shut down Windows here. Also of note, notice how it goes back to the XP style logon screen, or not the logon screen, the shutdown box. Also, this will happen. It'll try to end run DLL32. This only happens when you run the experimental arrow thing. And it takes a while for it to, I think you have to just kill it from Task Manager. But the next build we're going to be going on to is 5112. This build has a date of July 21st, 2005. That is the BIOS date. There was also a server build for this, but this is the client build. And one thing of note in this build, this is actually the first beta release of Windows to ever be called Windows Vista. However, there's a lot of Longhorn references. Even the actual boot screen, as you can see, still says codename Longhorn. But this is the first build to be designated the name Vista, and this is a beta 1 build. This is the first beta 1 build. Everything else has been like a milestone something. I think the last one was a milestone 7 or 8. Alright, so here we are in Windows Longhorn build 5112. And one of the things that I want to pay notice to in this build is the new welcome screen. And you'll kind of see here that it looks obviously very different than it did before in the last build, because that was just the XP classic style login, which was in obviously Windows XP. And Microsoft, through Windows Longhorn's development, they've kind of changed around and experimented with some different designs of the actual logon screen, or the welcome screen, whatever that you want to call it. But this here is just, you know, pretty simple. You just obviously log in like that, and you can see that I was kind of messing around with some stuff in here before. We'll just restart the computer here, because this one of the things about this is a very unstable build. And that's one of the things that and I'm not sure if that's just because of something I'm doing, because I'm using it in a virtual machine. I'm not really sure, but it's been really unstable and slow, and obviously that doesn't really make it well for video. But one of the things that I'm just going to do a force reset. So one of the things that I can talk about while it's booting back up here is the new Windows setup. This got a completely overhauled Windows setup, like when you're actually installing the OS onto your computer. And it looks pretty similar to, like it has the same design as the welcome screen that we just took a look at. So here we are now booted back up into build 5112. And pretty much the only major change on the desktop here is the new theme. Now this is still called the Arrow theme. but they've obviously kind of changed it around. Now there is a darker start bar, or not start bar, a darker taskbar down there, and some of the icons like this one right here, and the recycle bin. You can now have like larger icons. We have an HTML document. This is learn more about Avalon and Indigo. I actually haven't looked at this yet, but this is a pre-release software codename Avalon Indigo. So Avalon, if you remember from the pre-reset build, was that new way of developing applications that they were trying to kind of push to their developers at the time. And Indigo is something that I haven't really heard of yet, but apparently it's for like service-oriented communications infrastructure for web service protocols. These were two, I guess, APIs you could call them, that they were working on at the time. I did mention in the previous build that Avalon got merged into another project that they were working on. Indigo, I'm not really sure what happened to it, but yeah, that's the first time that I noticed that on the desktop. We also have this install supplemental drivers. This is for this doesn't work in the VM, but apparently what this would do is install drivers for a certain like physical computer if you were using this on a physical computer. The actual start menu looks kind of similar to the way that it did before in the previous build that we looked at. Now that's in this video. I know I'm kind of jumping around with like what I'm previously referencing, but the major thing that has changed is kind of the bottom part here. We have some newly designed shutdown and lock buttons, and this actually has the thing where you can click on the arrow next to it and get other shutdown options. So it's kind of doing away with the Windows XP thing where you would click on shutdown and then it would bring up a menu saying, do you want to log off, shut down, or restart? This is obviously getting rid of that, so you just have to click this one time and it shuts down. Same for this lock button right here. The search bar is still broken. It obviously got a little bit thinner. They like kind of fixed the display bug they were having before in the previous build where it was like showing as really large. They've obviously fixed that. However, it doesn't really work, and the first time that I tried to use it, it just crashed the VM. It seems to be working a little better now, but yeah, I'm not really going to go into that because of the fact that it crashed the VM before, I think 2 times, and I don't really want to risk that happening again, but it still isn't really functional. But it's just there, so they were kind of working on that, I guess, at the time. Something else, if we open up the Windows control panel here, and I also noticed this like nice little hover, like I guess you would say highlight over all these icons. That looks a little bit different and actually looks pretty nice. They haven't done that before, or at least to my knowledge. But you can see here that the control panel is once again completely overhauled. We have now this looks even more like Windows Vista than it did before, because Windows Vista's control panel is laid out pretty similar to this, at least the category view was. So yeah, they were kind of trying to move towards that direction. You can see that it kind of scales itself. Well, not really. I was just about to say that and this happened, so no, it doesn't really scale. Actually, yeah, I guess it kind of does, actually, because if you have it this small, it just has the icons here that you click on for each category, but it doesn't really work that well. You could do that if you wanted to. I mean, this being able to like scale one app, and like having it for like 4 different types of like for your PC, your tablet, and your phone obviously wasn't really a thing at this time. But yeah, so we have all of our options here laid out in a nice way. We also have the old classic view. I believe they have gotten rid of the categories within the classic view. However, it's not loading for whatever reason. Oh, it's hanging. Okay. Yeah, something very... This build, while I've been using it, seems to be pretty unstable. Alright, so yeah, as I was just saying, it's very unstable and Windows Explorer crashed, so that's nice. We're probably going to have to restart again. We'll try that again, so we'll go into Control Panel, Classic View. If it crashes again, I'm guessing we're not going to take a look at what Classic View looks like. I guess it's broken. Which it looks like it's, yep, it's gonna crash. Alright, so it looks like we're not gonna be able to take a look at what the classic view of the control panel looks like. So we're just gonna have to move on to our next item on the list, which is Windows Explorer. Got a pretty minor change as well. I think this looks pretty similar to the way it did before. Some of these icons do look a little bit different though. Yeah, Windows Explorer just seems to be... Now this is frozen. Alright, so my first impressions of this build is that it is incredibly unstable, so I'm probably going to make this demo pretty quick here. If we go into WinVer here, it still says Longhorn up here. So yeah, they haven't really touched up a lot of the minor things yet, but everything else pretty much has been changed to say Vista. And you'll see that this is still identifying itself as a Longhorn right here. And if we go into the computer properties, you'll see that it also is still calling itself Longhorn here as well. Microsoft Windows codename Longhorn version 2005, because this is a 2005 build. So yeah, I'm pretty much going to end it off here for this build because it's pretty unstable and Windows Explorer has crashed about 15 times in the past 5 minutes. Okay, so we get this thing actually. I thought it was just like a one-click button, but we get this thing where it'll be like a timer. It says Windows is going to shut down in like 30 seconds. So yeah, for whatever reason they didn't keep that. But yeah, we're just gonna shut down now. So yeah, that is pretty nice. Like I guess if you click shut down and you accidentally click it or something. Alright, so now we're gonna move on to a hopefully more stable build, or second to last. This is Longhorn 5308. I'm gonna start this up here. Now this build also got a new out-of-box experience. It also has a new I almost said a new blue screen. It has a new boot screen here, a very minimal style boot screen, which is very similar to Windows Vista's very minimal boot screen. So I never really understood why they went with such a minimal design. You'll see we have the Windows startup orb there. And yeah, a new welcome screen design, new setup design came with that as well. I'll have some footage overlay. And yeah, we actually have sound working in this one. We didn't have sound last time. But yeah, sound is working. We still have the XP sounds, obviously they haven't finalized those. But yeah, so that is pretty much all of the major changes with the setup and the welcome screen, everything like that. Hopefully if Windows Explorer decides to launch here, we'll get into some of the visual user noticeable changes, but that might take a while. Alright, so Windows Explorer finally decided to launch here, and you'll see that we have a new feature, the Welcome Center. Now this was brought over into Vista, and basically what it is, that this would start up when you first turned on your Windows Vista machine for the first time, and if you did not uncheck this box, it would start up every time. But yeah, this looks pretty similar actually. It has like the same background gradient thing, and it just basically shows information about like what version of Vista that you're running, your like processor, memory, video adapter, model number, stuff like that, who made the actual machine, and your activation status, which like all other betas, we don't actually have it activated. But yeah, you'll see that some of the icons here still look like the same XP icon, so that they were still working on that, obviously. But yeah, pretty much this is a good representation of the final Welcome Center. You'll also notice that the Start button down here has been changed to the orb, and the word Start has been taken off. This is again a pretty accurate representation of the final build or the final Start menu in Vista. So they may have made some minor tweaks to it throughout like the rest of its development cycle, but this is pretty much final, to be honest. Same with the Start menu right here, looks pretty final as well. These were the buttons that I was talking about when I was saying like about the shutdown timer. So yeah, we have all of our programs in here. Obviously we'll go into that was okay, network. Yeah, some of these icons, like look at the icon like up above the word Michael. Like that looks like not like Windows Vista at all. I mean, some of these do, but whatever this thing is and whatever that thing is not, that was not in Windows Vista at all. So yeah, they're obviously working with the icons, I guess. We have your user folder here. Obviously, the libraries feature they were working on at the time has been taken off. It's been they basically scrapped it because it wasn't really working that well, so it's back to just standard folders and everything. we'll open up my computer here, and this also looks pretty final, to be honest, pretty similar to Vista. Some of the colors down here, and this bar looks more glossy than it did in Vista. I know I'm just pointing out the little things, but in these later builds, there's not that much that is different. Or usually, I mean, this is 5308, and Vista's final build was 6000. So yeah, we're pretty close to the final release here. And this is also a beta 2 build, so it means we're even closer. So yeah, we'll open up the control panel. This got a brief, like the side panel here pretty much is the only thing that's changed. We have like a nice little Windows logo there. These options are the same as before. Classic view actually works this time, which is nice. And we can go in here and view all your classic icons. Yeah, so apparently, I don't know what it was before, but the classic view just wasn't really working. But there are a few new things they've added into the classic view. One of them is BitLocker Drive encryption. And oh yeah, there's this thing also called user account control. I'm sure we all know what this is. This was actually in the last build, but because the build was so unstable and I couldn't get to the setting, I wasn't able to demonstrate it. But yeah, this is what user account control looks like. It's, you know, pretty simple. I'm sure we all have used this before. You just click on allow, and you get permission to, you give yourself your own permission to do something. But you know, it was just something added as like an extra layer of you know, security, so that viruses can't run programs and things like that. So yeah, BitLocker Drive encryption basically encrypts your drive. That's pretty much what it does. I think this was a Windows Vista Ultimate only feature, so because this is Windows Vista Ultimate, or a build of Windows Vista Ultimate, that's why they were able to see it. But yeah, we can obviously, you know, get help content here, like how would you do this. Apparently a topic isn't found actually. And one of the things that I've been noticing is that they were going for a green design. Windows Vista doesn't even have this blue design. It has like a lighter blue, I think. But yeah, they were kind of going back and forth between this green and this blue color, and they didn't use either of them. They used a whole different type of blue. So yeah, that's just something I found kind of interesting. Some other things in here, I think disk defragmenter is new. It's called the defrag UI. This is, yeah, the automatic defragmenter. This is something that was new in Vista. Windows XP, you know, it would like open up this, like, I think it was in the Microsoft Management Console, and you would look in there, like, you know, this, I mean, oh, look at that, the search thing actually works. That's nice. But the like, it would open up in a window like this. I think it was part of the Microsoft Management Console, and it would show you like more detailed stuff about defragmenting your drive. But this version is newer. It's more, you know, streamlined, and it's also automatic, and you can modify you know, like what schedule that you want to do it on. So, you know, easy for the average user, you know. And it's probably, I think in Vista it was set like by default to happen on like, you know, once a week or once a month or something, which is good for your drives. We also have something right here which is called programs, which shows things. I guess it's just programs, I don't know, but there's no icon for it. But you go in and there's like add programs, advanced options. I don't know why these are put in. This is a weird way to like just to do this. Windows Update, you'll see, oh yeah, Windows Ultimate Extras, Windows Update and Windows Ultimate Extras. Ultimate Extras was a thing, like it actually did happen in Vista, and it was just like a few extra features and programs that you would get because you bought Windows Vista Ultimate. So yeah, this obviously doesn't work because there's no updates available for this build, but this looks pretty similar to the final Windows Update UI that was in Windows Vista, so that is nice. And yeah, here's just the thing about Ultimate Extras. You get some cutting-edge programs, innovative services, and tips and tricks. Because, you know, you don't get tips and tricks. You have to buy Ultimate to get those tips and tricks. You don't get them with just like the Home Basic Edition. That's not a thing. You gotta spend Ultimate. I don't know, but yeah, that's Ultimate Extras. And yeah, we were back in the control panel, got closed out of, it's kind of laid out differently. But yeah, so that's kind of how the classic view looks. Oh yeah, there's also this Windows Defender with this weird icon that I guess is like a placeholder icon. Windows Defender is a new program in all of its glory right here. I'm sure we all know about Windows Defender. It was scrapped in Windows 7 because people didn't really like it so much, because it was a memory hog from what I remember. But yeah, they changed it out with a version. It was still called Windows Defender, I think, but it was called they called it. It looked just like Microsoft Security Essentials. I think that was in Windows 8 actually. Windows 7 had something different. It was a different version of Windows Defender. But this version in Vista, it was apparently a pretty big memory hog, from what I remember. I'm not 100% sure of that. But yeah, it's just a built-in antivirus. So yeah, that is that. And there's been some like minor UI changes. You'll notice there's still a lot of XP references here. We'll just run WinVer here. We'll see that Windows Vista, it has a new like banner image up here. It's actually calling itself Windows Vista now, and we'll open up the system, and the system actually has a whole new design as well. This was something that wasn't in the previous build, because if you remember, we opened that up and it looked like, you know, the same as the XP one. Well, this looks just like the Vista you know, system panel, where it would show you more like information. And I think pretty much the thing Microsoft was trying to go for with this newer like control panel is to have everything contained in this one window. Like, you wouldn't be opening up, like for example, when I open up taskbar and start menu, it opens up this like separate window. And I'm guessing they were kind of trying to just like, you know, unify that into one window. So that's why that like they kind of, because, you know, system, when you would open it, it would bring up one of these windows. Previously, now it just kind of advances you to the next page, sort of, in control panel, and you can go back to it by clicking the back button or by actually clicking this button up here. So yeah, that's just what I think they were kind of trying to go for. But you'll see that we still have the XP icon over here. They haven't changed that yet, but you'll see that it is being called Windows Vista Ultimate Edition version 6.0. But yeah, that is pretty. Oh, Windows Explorer is going to crash again, so that's nice. And yeah, that's pretty much this build. I'm just going to shut this down. You'll see we don't have that timer thing anymore. It just automatically shuts down when I click on the shutdown button. So they, you know, quickly took that out. So we're going to move on to our last build for this video, which is 5384. This one I pretty much selected because it looks even more like the final build of Vista. Probably not going to spend that much time on it because of the fact that there's, you know, not that many like major changes, like from the research that I've done. There's not that many minor or major changes in this build, but we'll just take a look at the minor ones, and then that'll be it for the video. Alright, so we're back, and something about this build that I notice is it takes like 10 minutes to start up. I don't know why that is, but it does. But we are here. You'll see that the Welcome Center thing has been changed slightly. Also of note, something that will jump out to most people is the sidebar. The sidebar was a feature that was in Vista, but it's not really been present since the early pre-reset builds. But this one is back, and it has you know, some nice aero glass transparency here. But that's really, I think, all the aero transparency there is, because there's not really, like, the windows still, and I think that's just because I don't have the right drivers installed. I don't think that's because they didn't have aero working yet. I'm pretty sure they had aero working, like aero glass transparency, but it's hard to get drivers for Longhorn builds that actually function correctly. So I think that's why I don't have the right, you know, like the aero glass isn't working. But yeah, so we have some of the same widgets that were in the final, or sorry, gadgets. They're called gadgets. But yeah, here is the sort of gadget selection pane. This is actually a different design than what was the final thing. The stocks, I actually don't think we had a stocks or a timer widget. Like, yeah, these are widgets that didn't make it in. And a recycle bin, I'm not sure if we had that either. So yeah, a few widgets that didn't make it into Vista. The CPU meter also looks a little bit different as well. I actually like this design better, to be honest. But yeah, so that's the sidebar. It actually runs as a program down here. I think it was kind of, or maybe it was down here before. I'm not sure, but we can, hide it and show it like that. We also have, we'll just go into the control panel here. You'll see that it got kind of changed, before it was that little Windows logo here. Now it's kind of changed to these lines and streaks or whatever. Category view, pretty much the same. Classic view, pretty much the same as well. Obviously that thing, 2 builds ago, or maybe even 3 builds ago, that category thing within the classic view, that didn't stay. Windows Update looks pretty much the same. We'll take a look at the system, because I think this is when they this is when they got the new logo, and that green color is gone now. So yeah, Windows Vista Ultimate 2006 looking more and more like the final build of Vista. So we'll close out of that. We have the My Computer, or it's just called computer. The word My isn't in there in Vista. This is looking pretty final as well. A few things. This bar still looks a little bit more glossy than it did, in the final build, but everything else pretty much looks the same. I know that I'm kind of going fast, but we are kind of 40 minutes into this clip, and I kind of want to, make this a little bit shorter than the previous video. So yeah, I'm just kind of trying to go through everything. I think that's pretty much the major, or really the only major change was the sidebar, besides all those other minor UI changes. So yeah, we'll just run WinVer here. Something that I always do is to show the version. You'll see that now it's actually saying what version it is, Windows Vista Ultimate. I don't think it said that before. But yeah, and it has a different design header thing up here. Obviously, if you're using Windows Vista Home Edition or Home Premium, it would say Home Premium right there, or Windows Vista Business, it would say that. But yeah, copyright 2006, version 6.0, beta 2. This is still a beta 2 build. And it expires in 2007. This is from 2006, so this is getting closer to the final Vista release, because Vista was released in 2006. To be honest, it looks pretty much very similar to this. I mean, there may have been a few things, a few minor things. There's a few icons that you may have seen that still look like XP. They obviously changed those, but besides that, I mean, this is a pretty almost final build. At least, at first glance. Obviously, I'm not going to go, completely in depth into everything in this video, because, that's the whole point is just a brief, look at 4 different builds, and I'm trying to keep the video kind of short here. But yeah, that is pretty much it for build. I think this is 5384. Yeah, build 5384, and that is going to wrap it up for the post-reset builds of Windows Longhorn. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and again, if you didn't see the first video, which was the pre-reset builds, I did that about 2 weeks ago. Definitely go and check that out. There is a link going to be down below in the video description, and also it's going to be obviously on the channel as well, just 2 videos behind this one. And if you guys enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more videos like this here on the channel, definitely be sure to hit the like button down below and subscribe to the channel to get notified whenever I upload a new video. I upload videos ranging from, any topic having to do with technology. This video was on Windows. I'll sometimes do Mac videos, sometimes, product unboxings, product reviews, other tutorials, things like that. It's all here on the channel. It's kind of a variety channel. So for those of you who are new and you aren't subscribed, and you are interested, definitely hit that button. And that is pretty much going to wrap it up for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.
De ce merită bio, te întrebi? Pentru că vrei ca puiul tău să crească mare și puternic.
UVH Daily de la Vichy. Protecție solară cu ingrediente active împotriva fotoîmbătrânirii. Întreabă în farmacii.
Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. Now in today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at IBM OS 2 version 2.1. Now OS 2 is something that we've not really talked a whole lot about on this channel, but it's something I definitely want to dive into more. I believe the only video we've done on OS 2 is this video on Warp 4 that I made back in late 2019, but I've never unboxed a physical copy of it before, but that changes today because this right here, as you can see, is a boxed copy of version 2.1, and it was recently donated to me by a good friend of mine who also gave me this copy of OS 2 Warp version 3, which we will be taking a look at in a future episode hopefully, but we're going to focus on this copy we have here today. So this version was pretty significant in the OS 2 lineup because it was the first version that was released, or not the first version, version 2.0 was the first version released after the IBM Microsoft split. Because a little brief history, OS 2 started as a joint development project between IBM and Microsoft, and then became an IBM exclusive thing after Microsoft saw how well Windows was doing. That's a really brief bite-sized version of the history. There's a lot more we could go into, but that's honestly better saved for another video. So yeah, 2.0, first version to come after that split. It was also the first 32-bit version of OS 2, and 2.1 came shortly after, sometime in the early 1990s. Yeah, let's just flip over to the back here. So we got a screenshot of it. It says OS 2 makes your PC easier to use than ever before. You got this awesome looking IBM mouse here. It's captured the future and made it available today. Wow, no way, man. And then you got your system requirements on the side here. Now we're definitely going to be installing this on a system that is that far exceeds the system requirements. It's going to be the 98 PC. But yeah, we'll get to that in a moment. So right here, what I love about this too is IBM included both the 3.5-inch diskettes and the 5.25-inch diskettes right in the box. Whichever one you needed, you had. Microsoft did not do that. We are missing, unfortunately, the CD that you need. These are just essentially boot diskettes. If we take them out here, I'll show you. We've only got 2 of them in here, so there's no way the entire OS is going to fit on these 2, so that's where the CD comes in. So this right here is diskette 1, and then you've got right here the installation diskette. First of all, why are these labels like... they're like flipped around? Like, why would that's... Oh, okay. To be completely honest, totally being open here, I am certainly not that familiar with OS 2. I mean, I know what it is, I've messed around with it before, but I've never used it as my daily operating system. So we're going to be kind of exploring this version together here today because I've never used version 2.1 before. In fact, I think Warp 4 is the only version I've ever messed around with. Make your words unforgettable. Special savings from Adobe Systems, man. Look at that logo, dude. Oh my gosh, that's actually really cool looking. A great deal on type from Adobe Systems, so they're probably selling fonts probably. Let's see here. Now that you have a copy of OS 2 software from IBM, all your documents will look more professional. That's because Adobe Type Manager software is built right into the operating system, so you can scale type to any size and get sharp, clear text. Yeah, it's got all sorts of different fonts right here. So there you go. Adobe Typeset packages for just $59. You got your card here, I guess you could mail in. Man, I was not expecting that. Yeah, I just always love these things that come in the package along with the software, these like essentially advertisements, because it's really neat to see. Like, I have never seen the old Adobe logo. That just looks really, really cool. So yeah, that's that. This right here, I believe, is an installation guide. I think this was printed off. I don't think this came in here originally. But yeah, it's a little installation guide. We may very well refer back to this at some point, who knows. Right here it looks like we've got a business reply card for Computer World. Get 10 weekly newspapers for the price of 1. Special offer for IBM product users. Now right here, this is one of the coolest things in here. It's the IBM Play Smart Save Big with the OS 2 Solutions Pack. It's a little booklet that... The platform of choice. Yeah, don't you wish, IBM? Don't you wish it was the platform of choice? This is really neat to flip through because it's all sorts of ads and little blurbs about, you know, OS 2 things. Great news, the ideal companion to OS 2 version 2.1 is a user's guide and tutorial, the workplace shell, or OS 2, the workplace shell version 2.1. You don't have to marry your mainframe. 4K. Wow, we're really going like from 0 to 100 there. Get it off the board. Introducing IBM OS2's bulletin board system. I don't think I've ever seen a red IBM logo like that before. Hey, Corel Draw. We took a look at a version of this for Windows. Extended services for OS2. OS2 the limit. Man. Well, yeah, there you go. We'll set that aside before I spend the entire video on it. And right here is, let's just flip this over here and just get everything else out. Special offer, $30 rebate from IBM. Offer expires September 14th, 1993. Dang it, I wanted to get my 30 bucks, IBM. Get the latest on OS2 now on CompuServe. Oh man, check that out. So is this a CompuServe ad? Is that what this is? Yeah, CompuServe Information Service. So it's just a real OS2 branded, oh it is, like, you know, it's an IBM printed thing, but it's like an ad for CompuServe. Independent Vendor League. What is this? Is this like a catalog? Oh yeah, it is. It's a catalog with booklets and guides, VHS tape. Oh, I want that, man. OS2 Productivity VHS. Oh my gosh, look at this merch. Holy cow. You got t-shirts, an umbrella, a sweatshirt. Oh my gosh, the floppy disk calculator. I've seen one of these before. I don't know if it was OS2 branded, but I've seen something like this before, like a floppy disk. It's shaped like a floppy disk, but it's a calculator. You've got hats here. Oh my gosh, I would love to get some of this stuff. I do have an OS2 keychain. This stuff is just, I mean, this is content right here, man. This is a whole video we could do just going through this stuff. But, you know, we should probably move on to the actual software. But wait, let's take a look at this stuff first. Order now and save 50% on suggested retail price for some other piece of software. Citron. Back up your OS2 system today. Ooh. And here's your registration card, which was mailed in. You got your license information, your book catalog. Right here you've got, is this the license agreement? Yep. You've got free OS2 tips, another little card here to mail in. Gosh, IBM included like a ton of stuff in the box. Like all this stuff you could look through and like mail in. Microsoft did not usually include this much stuff in versions of Windows, so this is really interesting to see. And this is this nice little quick reference card. It's printed on like a cardstock material here. And so, yeah, a quick little guide installing the operating system. We very well may refer back to this. Now, yeah, this is an upgrade edition, but what's interesting is it doesn't necessarily say you have to upgrade from OS2 2.0, because right here it says you can use this upgrade package to install OS2 2.1 on your personal computer over existing DOS or OS2 operating systems, or DOS with Microsoft Windows. Though there's, okay, well, that's just trademark Microsoft Windows or trademarks of Microsoft Corporation. So yeah, you could upgrade from Windows to OS2, which I guess IBM would want you to think is a major upgrade, right? So yeah, that is pretty much everything in here. Well, it is everything in here, except for the CD. Like I mentioned, that is not in here, but luckily WinWorld exists, and I was able to get a copy of that. So let's go ahead and plug in the 98 PC, which is conveniently running Windows 3.1, and get this installed. Well, look at that. It's actually running Windows 95. Yeah, I kind of forgot that I installed Windows 95. I actually upgraded from 3.1 to 95 on the 98 PC in preparation for the Microsoft Plus video that I recently made, and then just decided to use the monorail computer instead. But yeah, so we're going to be doing something really stupid, which is trying to see how OS2 reacts to a copy of Windows 95 being installed on the drive. So we're going to start out by popping in the installation diskette into the 3.5-inch drive here, and we're going to put in our CD here. And let's restart this thing and get this quote-unquote upgrade procedure on the way. There we go. Remove the diskette from drive A, and then yeah, this is where it asks for diskette number